Jeremiah Love breaks free. Jeremiah Love trying to go 98. Touchdown! What a run in the first touchdown of the 12-team playoff.
This is 365 Sports.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown, Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Ancio.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Dig deep. Klubnik's going to take off. Klubnik with a touchdown.
Now here's David Smoke and Paul Catalina.
Actually, Paul Catalina and Faith Lynch today. And you'll see Faith in just 1 second. There she is.
Hello.
So, I don't know. Faith has never been on this version of the show before, right? You were on the triple option with me.
Yes.
Rest in peace. Triple option. But you were on that version of the show. So for people who don't know Faith Lynch, Faith is a former Baylor volleyball player now, just in her first full year out of school now.
Yeah,
it's
almost.
turning the corner, right? It's turning the corner. Yeah,
closer than it was a couple months ago.
Yeah. So, but she interned with us when she was a sophomore, and then she did some stuff kind of off and on with Sikkim. And then when we went over to Rogue, they had seen a lot of her work and came highly recommended from us for sure, and from everybody else. So we need to get some reps, some talk show reps.
Yes.
She has a podcast called Dear Sports. Get that microphone a little bit closer to you, Faith. And so we're going to get her some reps. So I thought co-hosting this show with me, Garrett will be on a little bit later, but co-hosting with me is a good way for 3 hours to get some reps, right?
It is. I've watched the show for probably 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
And so to be on this side, It's a little different. I've never been able to hear myself either. So
oh yeah. Have you told her Honey and Graham watching today?
I did. I texted them. I was like, make sure you tune in.
Okay, good deal.
Live from 3 to 6.
Good deal. Okay, well I'm glad. Well, I got now that I know that they're watching every second of it. I have to really bring my A game. So, but yeah. So Faith, we had some of the topics today. I'm interested to get your thoughts on as a former student athlete, even though these are all football topics, but just from your perspective of doing it, we had some really interesting talks about NIL, and you got like 1 year from the house settlement, right? Like that's what.
Yeah, but my check, I think, is going to be a little bit bigger than some of the other athletes in my class, just because I came in early that 21, January 21. So I was kind of swept into that class as well. So I hopefully will boost my check a little bit.
Oh, good.
But I know I definitely, I got to experience that and saw the beginning, and I'm now seeing rev share and all of that come to life too.
Yeah. So, and you also have another job where you work, and you get to kind of see that like the ever ongoing shifts of rev share and how people are either leaving the job, coming into the job. Like it's a different job than it was. So now you need people with maybe different expertise. And if you don't have that expertise, you don't want to learn it, you'll just go get the job that you had somewhere else. Yeah. Like it's very different, but happy to have Faith here. We're going to have some fun. We have a couple of topic segments that we're really going to test Faith's mettle at 4:30. Garrett, Faith, and Royden Ogletree from KWTX and we're going to have a 4-person Heisman draft. We're going to draft 4 people each. And why 4? Because there are 4 Heisman finalists. So we're each going to get 4, and we'll see. And then later in the year, we'll revisit this and see how well we did.
Good. Check my knowledge.
Yeah, we have until the first week in December, but once or the second week in December when we find that out. So we'll see how we do on Heisman weekend in December, but that's what we're gonna do that now. We'll have that. That's gonna be at 4:30. We have Ari Temkin today. We have Josh Neighbors at 4:00. 4:30 we have Royden. 5:00 we'll have Justin Williams from The Athletic. At 5:30 we're gonna make our conference title game predictions.
Yes,
and who wins those. So we can test Faith's mettle there, but. And before we jump into the headlines, Garrett, I think I know that you don't have the microphone next to you, but I think we need to learn a little bit more about Faith, outside the volleyball thing. Okay, so we're gonna find out little things about you, just kind of random, maybe non-sportsy things about you.
Okay.
Because I know this, I'll tell everybody you're from Houston, so you're like a Houston sports fan.
Yeah, Houston fan.
You're a huge Astros fan.
Yeah.
Things are going pretty well right now. Yeah. Although it was a little rocky after the trade deadline, but still going pretty well.
Yeah, I'm excited Correa's back.
Yeah.
That was huge. That was really fun because I got to see both World Series games play out, and
Okay.
So excited he's back.
Okay. So your brother is a baseball player too.
Yeah.
So you
plays at Panola Junior College, catcher, just went to finish playing in a summer league in Ohio.
Okay.
That was an interesting experience for him. But yeah, we are in the college space as siblings.
Yeah. Okay. So Texans, Rockets, that's your jam. And I know that your parents have had to move to Dallas.
Yes.
And
I won't be a Cowboys fan.
No, that's not going to happen. You're not going to pick it up. Yeah.
I will go to a Rangers game and I will enjoy it, but
just the experience, but you're not rooting, right?
Not really. It was weird. We, as a family, went to a Rangers game recently, and it was awkward. We walked in, and I was like, I don't have anything to wear to this game.
Just wear neutral stuff. I mean, look, I go to ball games all the time that I have no dog in the fight just because I like going to ball games. So, yeah. Now, when you do, okay, let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. If you say you are not a fan of a team, but the person you don't have any feeling about the team, you're neutral on them, but the person you are with is a huge fan of that team, would you don that gear to support that person?
NFL, MLB, maybe. As a team, our volleyball team one year, we all went to a Cowboys game. Yeah. I was like, this is fun. So I wore a Cowboys jersey because I was like, I want to look like I know what's going on and I want to be a part of it. College is different for me. That's more of my lane, is college athletics. Grew up in Baylor football, wanted to be a college athlete.
So if you had a friend who was a USC fan and you were going to go see USC and they're like, hey, I got you a jersey, would you be like, no?
Yeah, probably. I'll just wear my black and white stuff. I'll be neutral. That to me, it feels like I'm like going against Baylor, and putting on anything else. I'm like, I'm gonna stay in my lane and know Baylor. That's for my people.
I was like you as well, and then I got married to a Kansas fan.
Yes,
and when I went to the Fog, I decked out.
Really? Well, that's by marriage. I
have to. Well, here's the thing. I've become a big Kansas fan because their success and my happiness have now become like
very tied.
Them winning and my having a good day are now intertwined.
That's awesome.
They are intertwined.
Yeah. No, I mean, as
just like my wife is with Florida. Like, she know I'm a huge basketball fan. It's funny she says this all the time, but you don't care about Florida State basketball. No. I super care. They've just wrecked my emotions.
Yeah.
And I don't have expectations like you do.
No.
But for football, I have high expectations because they're one of the blue blood programs. For baseball, they're like, they should be a blue blood, but they're not because they've never won it.
Yeah.
But they've been more than anybody.
They're in the race most of the time.
They're always in Omaha. They're always in freaking Omaha and they don't win. So she's like, I didn't know that you cared about this as much. I'm like, well, I wanted to hide my flaws because I knew that like, because and also like when we first got together, they were like on a bit of a dip, so they weren't really going. And then now, like last year they went, this year they're in the Supers, and so it was funny because last year on our anniversary trip we're in Palm Springs and they lost to Tennessee and they got hosed against Tennessee on what should have been a third strike and the game been over. And we were at the dinner. We're at a really good hibachi place.
Oh gosh.
So at this hibachi place, it's in our hotel.
Yeah.
And I'm just like the guy's making the rice and I'm just like, whatever, life is pointless.
Stop.
It's like, what do you want? I'm like, it's shrimp. I don't know.
I don't care anymore.
Whatever. Like just, I know that you're going to throw some food in my mouth and I'll try to catch it. But like when you do the sake trick, just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Just keep going. Like I'm going to swallow when my mouth gets full. And then like, I'll take a couple breaths and then we're going to start again until you're out of sake.
Yeah.
Like that's what's going to happen. You're going to have to bring another guy and be like, hey, we're out. Can you give me another bottle of sake? Because I was just so sad. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that you were so invested. I'm like, well, during the regular, a regular season, I don't get like, because I do this. So I know like regular season, I don't really get worked up unless it's a rivalry game or a stupid loss that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But for baseball, there's a long regular season, right?
Oh yeah.
So like you can't, and there's a lot of games. So you can't really
be invested.
You can't get upset about one loss or two losses. You have to get upset about losing streaks. So like, since they don't really have long streaks, it's like, okay, well, they've lost that one game. They lost a couple games here, but they're really good. So I'm not going to, I'll get really emotionally invested when they get deep into the postseason. So I was like, look, I've been able to hide this from you because it hasn't been a thing.
Been able to bury this down.
It hasn't been a thing. Like you've never seen me with the Cowboys in the Super Bowl either.
Yeah.
Where she's like, you are a pretty neutral Cowboys fan. I'm like, well, I've seen how the sausage is made. I mean, I've been, so I know like how it works. So I know how to temper my expectations. And, but I was like, look, when you see me, like you're going to see me like when last year Florida State's 2-10, she saw me at the lowest point of my life.
Oh my gosh, Paul.
I'm surprised. I'm just surprised that like there's not like pictures of me like just random like me in a bathrobe like walking the street with like whiskey just like
right.
Oh, this is terrible. So anyway, okay. So a couple more faith questions.
Okay.
We need to know your like desert island movie.
That I am in?
No, that would watch. Like what's your like go-to comfort movie?
Oh, I'm just a normal girl. So I'm a big rom-com.
Okay.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is always something that's easy to watch.
Okay.
Mystic Pizza.
Wow.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
I love that movie.
It's Julia Roberts' first movie. Yeah.
I
wow.
love that movie.
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I'm impressed. That's even earlier than a little bit like that's my era.
I love it. It's not a like your traditional rom-com. It's very just like normal.
Okay.
I'm like, this could probably happen in real life.
Okay.
This could actually happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen.
All right. You can only put one musical artist on Spotify. Who is it?
I grew up going to the Houston Rodeo, so country is. I don't really listen to anything else besides country. Okay. I saw Zach Top in concert at the rodeo. Probably my.
Okay.
That's probably it because he's a mix between new and old. I feel like.
All right,
so he's pretty consistent.
Interesting, and it's not like that's not a like you didn't just go like Kenny Chesney or something like that.
No.
You didn't. Yeah. You picked
I didn't
somebody.
pick Taylor Swift.
Yeah, you were an original. Okay, good deal. So I just want people to know that Faith is an original and authentic person. She's not cookie cutter. She's not basic. She's original and
Thank
authentic.
you.
So there we go. All right. So let's jump in to the smokestack here. First up, the winter portal window. We have a lot to talk about with this. This is from our friend John Wilner at Wilner Hotline. A group of college football administrators is quietly attempting to overhaul the calendar and narrow the transfer window and possibly eliminate spring practice. Moving on, next one here, Brandon, from Ross Dellinger. The P4 group charged with overhauling the football calendar recommended models to the House Implementation Committee, which may soon make a recommendation to commissioners. And excluding the Big Ten, wide support continues for a single transfer portal in January. So, Faith, I'll break this down for people who may not be familiar with it. The football calendar is a mess. I don't know how it is in volleyball, but the football calendar is a mess because
it's hard to follow. I don't understand all of it because volleyball is so simple.
Okay. So here are all the things that they have to fit into a short amount of time. The signing day is early in December, the early signing day or middle of December. Then the portal window also opens right around that time.
Yes.
So you've got people coming in, you're trying to recruit portal players and high school players at the same time. You're trying to recruit your own roster at the same time. It is absolute madness.
It's a hectic time.
It's a very hectic time. It is not this way for almost every other sport because the portal, like they have like really good off-season portal windows or not portal windows, but signing days.
Right.
Like the early signing days are solidly in the off-season, as where football's signing day is pretty much just after the season ends and the portal window closes in the first week in February. So the football calendar is all a mess of like when you can transfer. You throw in spring football,
right.
Which is a huge deal. And then they have a spring transfer portal window that goes through that. So coaches really they don't know whether they're coming or going half the time.
Right.
So they'd like to get it down to one portal window, and most coaches want it to be in January because then it can kind of follow along. We can get them here for spring practice.
That makes sense.
So here are two opposing viewpoints, though, from two big figures in this. First up, Ross Bjork from Ohio State. A January portal only focuses on football. If you care about academics and finances, the spring makes more sense. The one-track mindset is outdated. Other side of the coin, from Brian Kelly, Garrett Ross's favorite person in the world. Brian Kelly says an April portal is dumb. You risk losing a third of your paid players in 3 months. We're firm on January. Big Ten excuses don't make sense. And so we continue to see this kind of rift between the Big Ten and the SEC and the way they do things. Actually, in this one, I think I agree a little bit more with Ross Bjork.
Okay.
And April. So
why? Tell me.
So here's why. Because of the house settlement, you have all these different financial windows of when you can do things.
Yeah.
So everything has to be in by July 1st, right? Okay. So there's going to be teams that realize that, you know what, we didn't get the transfer players we want. We're not going to be that good. So we're not going to spend this money right now on the roster. We're going to backload it for the transfer portal. So what they will do is they'll start spending it in December when they start getting transfers. So if you're going to do that, like April makes more sense because then you know like really what you have in April. Everybody's kind of come and gone. But the only way that you can do that is eliminating spring practice altogether and going into some sort of summer OTAs model like the NFL has. Yeah. So once the portal window is closed, instead of having spring football in March and April, you have summer portal windows or practices and organized team activities in May and June.
Okay.
So that then you've got your team together and you can do those things
right before season.
So that would have to go together. Now, if they don't get rid of spring practice, then you have to have it in January. So you at least have an idea of who you've got. Yeah. So it is tough. You know, a lot of athletes and football players.
Yeah.
From their perspective, not even the coach's perspective, from their perspective, what do they think about their calendar?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think from what I would prefer as an athlete and maybe what I would want is I would want to know my team after in that January window. I get it's a fast turnaround after coming off of season, guys but that's how I think it should work is you should finish your season, have a portal in January. Now you have an entire spring to work through playing with these guys, team chemistry, you're reading the same book, you're going over all the things, you're on the same page. Because then if it opens up again, then these guys are jumping ship. I don't know. I think it's messy. I think having...
But you should just say, you believe that there should just be one.
Yeah, I think there should just be one. Okay. Having two is ridiculous, I think.
Yeah. Okay, and as someone who's had to deal with transfers coming in and out, you made it like, and I think a lot of people think that transfers are the majority, but they're not. There's a lot of transfers, but most people are like you were going to Baylor and you weren't leaving Baylor.
No.
Like this was your school.
Yeah.
Most people are actually like that for the most part, unless there's coaching changes and all that. I
would like to believe when you are being recruited by a school, you are thinking you're going to stay there for 4 years, not be there for a year and leave.
Like
I would like to believe that of our college athletes.
What I do think that people should understand, like a lot of athletes don't know about transfer or don't think about young athletes because you're young.
Yeah.
Is pick the place that you're going to be with there for 4 years and then transfer if it's not what you thought it was going to be or there's a massive change.
Yeah.
Right. Or you sometimes you get forced into that position where, you know what, like we recruited these 3 guys at your position. They're all kind of like you find out they're all kind of ahead of you. Yeah. And if you want to play and advance your career, then you're going to have to go someplace else.
I think Richard Reese is a prime example of that.
Yeah.
Like,
because he stayed through until now.
Wanted to be at Baylor, wanted to be that guy. And then you just look around the room and you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to progress. If I want to go and play, think about even playing at the next level. I want to actually play college football. You may have to make a move. And so for that, I respect. You stay, you figure it out, try it out. That's, I think, a good benefit of transferring.
But you're not getting better when you're transferring multiple times.
No, I don't think so.
You know, sometimes you'll get better because you'll actually find a coach, like a system that fits you. But if you're doing it more than once, then you're not getting better.
No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, like you said, if coach leaves, if you get there and they bring in 2 people behind you that they said they weren't going to get, staff gets fired, athletic director changes, I get it. Injuries happen, whatever. Like someone gets injured behind you, so they have to now red shirt. So that I get it. Like there are things that can happen, but the way it's trending and how athletes are utilizing the portal, I'm like, whatever. It's a free for all.
I also don't think people understand what life-changing money really is because it's not a case of school A is paying me $100,000 and school B is paying me $2 million. It's not like there's nobody with that kind of gap. Like the gaps are a lot smaller. Now, look, if you're telling me that like you're going to pay me $300,000 more dollars and I'm making $300,000, then yes, that's a bit life changing.
Right.
That's several years of like a normal salary stacked up that you get in 1 year.
Yeah.
You know, so that's something. But if I'm making $325,000, I'm doing really well. I'm living in a town like Lubbock or Waco or Manhattan or Athens, Georgia or whatever. Yeah. I'm getting really good money. And then somebody says like, what about $340,000? Like,
okay,
no, like, no.
Yeah.
So like, it's all these things that go into it. But the bigger thing on this is the football calendar makes no sense.
I agree.
Not to mention that now the season starts too late.
Yeah.
And it goes until the end of January almost, which is stupid.
It's such a long season for those guys.
They should start it earlier and end it earlier.
I agree.
And they got to take out the dead weight in the middle is that I think the semifinals should be played on New Year's Day.
Okay.
And then the finals should be played on January 8th. And that January 8th, or New Year's Eve. Like it's got to rotate around the NFL playoffs a little bit, but it should be like pretty much that or the following Friday. Like TV networks say Fridays where things go to die, but college football, like people are going to go watch the championship.
Yeah.
Having it on Monday night is dumb. Like, so you have all this, like, it's dumb. It's also Monday night after you've just watched the NFL playoffs.
Yeah, that's silly.
So you're going to turn on a college game after you maybe have just seen Mahomes versus Allen. right? It's like, so you were like, oh, hey, I know that you just went to go see Superman, but would you like to watch My Dinner with Andre? Which is no, it's not like it's
No.
you kind of you gotta be the opening act, not like trying to follow the headliner.
Absolutely.
Like I remember and I'll just tell this from the comedy world. I was doing a show one time and the headliner and the second to last guy had to flip because the headliner had to leave early. So this guy had to go on after a really big comic. And so he walked out there and he was like, you guys kind of all came to see him and then I'm here. So, hey.
Welcome to my set. Jeez.
Yeah. All right. I've got to leave. So, but I got it. So we'll just flip it. He had a family situation.
Right.
And he was like, look, I can just, I need to leave by 9:00 so I can be home by midnight. He lived 3 hours away and he's like, I'm driving up there. So he was the guy that ever came to see. So I'll just do this. And then you guys, you just flip the order, and I was young in the business at the time. And I thought oh, well, no big deal. And then sitting there, waiting with the middle guy. And he's like, this is going to be terrible.
Poor guy.
And he's like, look, they're going to be here's the thing. They're going to be warm, but they came to see, that's the guy they came to see. Right. You wouldn't go see Taylor Swift. And then if the opening up came, she does her whole show, and she's like, hey, stick around for this new band. And you're like, no, I'm going home.
Yeah, as one would.
I'm going home. So that's what they need to do. So the calendar's messed up, and they need to figure out one portal window that's, 10 to 14 days long, and then that's it. And the thing is they keep trying to do that, and they keep losing. So they've got to figure out a way to make the players happy with it. And I think taking away spring football maybe helps with that. Even if it's in the winter, if you take away spring football and you just throw some OTAs in there, throughout. So instead of the NFL has 2 or 3 weeks of OTAs. Yeah. If you gave college football 4 or 5, which would equal what they had in spring, then I think it would work out.
It would work.
But you guys do volleyball in the spring, but it's not, you don't have as big of a transfer issue. Right? No,
because ours is right after season.
Yeah.
And the portal closes. I don't know when it opens because I never even looked at that stuff. Yeah. I was like, I'm here.
You're just oh, who's this new person?
Yeah. They're like, oh, we have a transfer. I'm like, awesome. What is she getting here?
Yeah.
Does she need to live with me?
Yeah.
It opened right after season and it was open for 2 or 3 weeks and then closed. There was this we're in postseason going to the national championship, but 2 of our teammates are in the portal. There was none of that. There was no crossover. So it was pretty clean, I felt, from that. But I think that opens up, I would hate to be playing national championship game as a college football player and this guy's in the portal. He's going, you know what I mean? That just opens up a nasty can of worms, I think.
And for the teams that make it that far, it's not that many, but it's a few.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then you also see teams, that's why they got to figure out these bowl games.
Yeah.
They've got and all that. So yeah, I think it's a huge issue. So yeah, you guys don't have that, but football is insane.
Yeah. I don't get how I've come from a perspective of holistic student athlete experience. What's the best for you? And I just don't think that creates a good student athlete experience of messy calendar all over the place. You're competing in these big games. People are leaving, trying to make forward steps for even having to think about next season in those moments. I just think it gets pretty nasty and messy really quickly.
Well, look, if you look at Baylor's top 2 quarterbacks right now, Sawyer Robertson transferred from Mississippi State, Walker White came in from Auburn.
Yeah.
But they also kind of knew where it was going when they so they knew, and Walker White came here knowing that he was going to be the backup.
Yeah.
And that Sawyer is, this is his last year, and then and these last year he's going to go. So he knew coming in, he had realistic expectations. This, I'm going to transfer and I'm going to go for it for the starting job here because this is where I actually want to be now.
Right.
Because I do think there is some, especially when you come to it, your recruiting trip was great, and then the staff is different when you're not being recruited.
And that's terrible. You commit to an offensive coordinator and then he leaves. It's well, do I really want to go play for this guy now? So,
well, that's why I think the other thing I would like to do a symposium on look, you need to like the head coach. You got to like the head coach. You did I love this position coach. Well, unless he has no ambition past being the position coach at the place he is, then you don't get attached to him. You can, I mean, it may be great to work with him, but you could work with him for 1 year and then he could become the offensive coordinator at a place.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I mean, I like him, but I don't know if I like that coach he's going to work for.
Yeah.
I really like this. So you got to like the head coach.
I mean, do you really think those North Carolina players thought Bill Belichick was going to come in?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that I'm like, that's such a shock for them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, maybe a nice surprise for some of them, but if you really liked your previous head coach, maybe I need to follow him, or is he going to take me with? It's a mess.
No, like I'm sure a lot of them wanted to retire with Mac, but
right?
Yeah, he's a great guy. Okay, let's pop through a couple of these things here before we got to get to Ari Temkin in a few minutes. Jim Phillips, ACC commissioner, elected chairman of the NCAA Board of Governors. This is a rotating thing. I never really thought much about the NCAA Board of Governors until recently. We had Chris Kleiman on from Kansas State at Big 12 Media Days. And Faith, guess how many coaches are on the NCAA Board of Governors and the D1 Council?
Like,
how many would you think?
Like 8?
1.
No way.
1.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right?
So they make all of these decisions.
Yeah.
And only one coach is there.
That's not good representation.
No.
How are they supposed to know what's going on?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Like, is that crazy to think that?
One coach.
That they would need someone to know what's actually going on in their space?
Yeah. So,
jeez.
But yeah, Jim Phillips, who's, and he's the last conference commissioner that comes from the old way of doing that, where he was like not really. Greg Sankey is a little bit, but Greg Sankey's a different animal.
Yeah.
Jim Phillips is the last old school college commissioner, at least in the P4, that he's the one who hasn't quite realized what's going on yet, I think. But he's fighting to keep his conference alive, but now he's head of the Board of Governors. So next up, from Kelly Ford Ratings. Oh, sorry. No, this is Boo Corrigan. Sorry. Boo Corrigan says his athletic department is going all in on $20.5 million in rev share, increased scholarships, and Alston payments. So all that's going up for the athletes there. But NC State is a school that has been very clear about they are putting, like, there's going to be some sports that don't really get anything. Like but they're betting big on football and men's basketball. And actually right now, I think that their men's basketball team is getting a larger share than it does compared to football, because they just hired Will Wade to come in and be their coach, and their transfer portal has been nuts.
Really?
So yeah, so they're paying some dudes. They are paying some dudes to come in there.
I get it. I played an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Love me some volleyball, love my girls. But when you have to look at it from an athletic department standpoint and a rev share, I get it. Like you have to do what makes money for your university to still have those programs. So I would love to see what this looks like for NC State and how this pans out a year later, what they feel like, how their approach worked, and see if it should stick and see if other schools can attack it this way. But I don't know, Paul. I'm kind of glad I'm not a college athlete in this mess. It just, I feel like, provides so much more. Yeah. Well, how much are you getting? Or did you get the Alston payment? It's just like, just go and play your sport and get out of there. I don't know.
That's why they think about, like, if they had just in the 90s when this first all started coming up, just decided to pay everybody, like, say back then, $3,000 a month.
Okay.
And then, like, right now, like, big athletes were making like $75,000 a year. Like, if you're football and basketball, you're making like $75,000 a year. If you're volleyball, baseball, you're making like $40,000 a year, or whatever it is. Like, you're just paying them a competitive salary in the marketplace. All those things. It could still be like $30,000, but whatever. But you would have loved to make $30,000 a year while you were in college.
Heck yeah. Are you kidding?
Yeah. With room and board and all that stuff. Yeah. Like, had they done that years ago, this wouldn't be happening. Yeah, and then just said, okay, because then NIL wouldn't, it probably would be at least a little bit, but they could have set up NIL guidelines that people would still probably follow, because you're like, well, this person wants me to endorse their thing. Here, I'm going to turn it in. They're going to pay me a lot of money to do this because I'm a big famous athlete. Yeah. But it's not going to be like, hey, we need to pay every athlete this much money just so we have the best athletes at every thing.
Right.
It's you could have budgeted it out a whole lot better. Yeah. And then you would know that, okay, well, maybe the quarterback gets more than the backup center you graduated up the line as you freshmen make this, sophomores get this.
Yeah.
There's performance incentives for how much you play, all those things, so that you create those things. But they didn't do that. They were just like, nope.
$3.5 million contract goes to.
So, yeah.
What are we doing?
So now instead of like just doing it the way that would have made sense, they're all behind it. Okay. Garrett sent this to me earlier today from Kelly Ford Ratings. So he does all these kind of cool charts. What this chart is regular season mulligans afforded or upsets required to be in the CFP as an at-large discussion.
Yeah.
So the top two lines, Faith, have the teams that are allowed mulligans. The teams that are going to have 2 mulligans based on their schedule, which are losses that don't affect their ranking.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't affect their ranking. Texas, Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Clemson, and the teams with 1, Penn State, Oregon, Ole Miss, and SMU, because of the way that their schedule works. So then it gets down into the upsets required. The 0 line is very interesting.
Yeah.
If, according to him, if Oklahoma, A&M, Miami, Michigan, Georgia Tech, and Liberty win all the games that they're favored to win, then it doesn't matter. Like if they lose the games that they'll be not favored in, then they'll wind up in the playoffs as long as they go undefeated in the games that they're favored.
Interesting.
Yes. So they don't need to have any big upsets to make the playoffs. So
we're going to throw Liberty in that category?
Well, Liberty, there's always a top G5 team, and Liberty plays a terrible schedule. So they will not be unfavored, and they might be probably in any game this year.
Yeah.
Because they play an absolute non-conference schedule is abysmal. They joined a conference that they knew that they could roll through most of the time.
Surviving.
Yeah. So anyway, and then that other line of 1, Baylor's on that line. Yeah. So they only have to have 1 upset as long as they win all the games they're favored in. So, okay. 1 upset. So
I don't, I mean, that would
got to win all the ones they're favored in.
That would be really nice to think that, right? Because I don't think we're favored towards Auburn.
Are they? I don't know.
I want to say no. So I don't know if that would qualify as an upset.
I don't know why they wouldn't be. I mean, Auburn wasn't in a bowl game last year. It's here in Waco. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would be nice to think. I mean, I'm excited for the Arizona State game. Yeah. I feel that would be considered an upset. So I mean, that would be really nice to think. That would make my life a lot of fun to being able to cover Baylor and then go to the playoffs would be sick. Yeah.
So, there's other teams. Boise State's in there. USC's in there. Auburn's in there. Auburn's one of those teams. Yeah. Most of these, the SEC teams are a little higher up on the list because of their schedule.
Right.
On the 2 line, a couple interesting ones. Florida, who has a really tough schedule. They'd have to have 2 upsets. TCU, Iowa State, Tech from the Big 12 all would have to have 2 upsets to make the CFP as an at-large. So this is just to get in that top 12,
that top
right?
12, yeah.
So Kansas would have to upset 3 teams. Big 12, let's see. In the 4 teams, my alma mater is in there. They have to have 4 upsets, which is not a world I want to live in, where they should be in the mulligan area.
Really?
Like you want your team in the mulligan area
where
you're pretty much guaranteed it as long as you do exactly what you're supposed to do. And, nobody cares if you have a pimple, like nobody cares. Like there's some people that don't care. Like Heidi Klum gets a zit. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Heidi Klum cares.
She cares.
She cares.
But
Heidi cares.
Nobody's going to tell it like, oh my God, she's hideous now. Like she's still Heidi Klum. But, I don't know how to compare this to, but there's other less attractive people that are like, oh, well, she was just hiding it well. Now we know. But
she was just That's awesome.
That's probably the worst way I could describe this. Just the worst way I could describe it. Yeah. All right. Garrett spent a lot of time in a fetal position last night because there was some concern that Garrett Nussmeier had an ACL injury. He's got patella tendonitis.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, he was throwing today and will likely be out there in a practice situation, I think, fully tomorrow. Garrett, how you doing? Just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Oh, he just now it's already started. Like you're already I told you. Yeah. I did not want to bet the over.
Did not want to bet the over. Jeez.
Yeah. Okay.
You go from a torn ACL to tendonitis. That's a bit dramatic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I thought it was going to be. All right. We'll save the rest of this stuff for later. We've got to get to Ari Temkin in the next segment. Ari Temkin, Big 12 Sports Radio, Paul Catalina, Faith Lynch. This is 365 Sports.
My go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
You have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a T-fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco during the Make This the Summer event. Check out the all-new Jeeps that are arriving daily. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990. Or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling, and wrap up your summer in style with the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
I'll never get used to this.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Make this the summer event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, where big plans start with the perfect ride at great deals. From weekend getaways to daily drives, your next new truck, SUV, or car is waiting.
Come by, let's be friends.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Ooh, good one.
100%.
Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels.
We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Faith Lynch with us today, co-hosting, and Ari Temkin our good friend Big 12 Radio. And Ari, we are 2 Saturdays away from Farmageddon in Ireland. And I think this is Brett Yormark has been trying to find like showcase events for Big 12 football that normally they haven't had. And normally the Big 12 does not play conference games until they're done with the non-conference. They kind of have it regimented out as where everybody else can be a little more scattershot. This is going to be a fun game no matter what. They could play this game anywhere, and it's still a huge rivalry with Farmageddon. But how cool of a marketing opportunity is this for the Big 12 to be kind of alone in Ireland with one of its better rivalries that maybe some people haven't seen?
Yeah, I
two
mean,
good teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of said it there in a way, Paul. This game can be played wherever, but I think most people would want this played in the snow in either Manhattan, Kansas, or in Ames, Iowa. But to your point, I think there's a larger piece at play here for the conference. Number one, when the conference goes back to market for its media rights deal, it needs to have a really good narrative to tell, the other networks, what size audiences they have. And this is the type of game that can really help grow a pretty tremendous audience. This is a game that probably should rank as high as any game across the entire season, because every other week, the Big 12 is going head to head with SEC and Big 10 matchups that are, most likely going to trump them from, a rating standpoint. So this gives them a leg up to start the year. And I think that's a big reason for it. It's arguably the best game we've ever seen week 0. And especially for a game that's being played in Ireland. There was a really good one last year between Florida State and Georgia Tech. And you know how that one went for Florida State, but I think this is a better opportunity, in terms of 2 elite teams that should be competing towards the top of the conference. I think the drawback of it, though, is the fact that this is a game that's going to play, is going to be significant in terms of the outcome of the Big 12 season. And you hate to see it played, week 0, because you're not really the fully formed team that you are at week 0. I mean, just think about it like from Baylor's perspective. Last year, this time, Daquan Finn was the starting quarterback and Bryson Washington was nowhere to be found on the depth chart at running back. So, I mean, you'd rather this game be played again in Ames or in Manhattan in the snow late in the season when both these teams have a better sense of who they are. But I think I understand, and they understand the opportunity that this presents for the Big 12.
Do you think that one of the things, I think they did a pretty good job of the schedule, that my only real complaint was not protecting this rivalry as an every year thing. I'm hoping that this game is everything they hope it's going to be. And then they on the plane back, they're like, hey, let's get in the room and make sure that we protect this rivalry for the schedule and put it in mid to late November so that it's where it needs to be.
You're saying this is not one of the protected rivalry games.
Yeah. I don't think it is. Right.
Right. No, I feel like you're right, because they're not playing.
I think it was the one that one of the things that they left out. And people were like, hey, Farmageddon. And then, there's always one of those things with the Big 12. I think the earliest example of this was when they initially had the Big 12 had this idea clearly set up by an OCD person that was like, we're going to do 2 years on and 2 years off. And then Oklahoma and Nebraska are like, hey, one of the best rivalries in college football, we're not going to play it, for 2 years at a time. And then Texas was like, yeah, too bad for you. And then they just kind of moved on. They're like, hey, you can't argue with OCD Larry that set up the schedule. He'll freak out. As where other conferences just have even longer bag, are like, look, we're not getting rid of this game. We're not dumb. And the Big 12, even back then, 30 years ago, was kind of cutting its own legs out from under it. They don't need to keep making those mistakes.
Yeah. Look, I mean, and I don't have the protected rivalries in front of me. I mean, I know Kansas State and Kansas is a big one from the Kansas State perspective, but I would think beyond that, there's really no other games for Iowa State or Kansas State to have quote unquote protected other than playing each other. And yeah, I mean, it's been an epic rivalry. I mean, Kansas State's going for 16 straight wins over my Jayhawks this year. Iowa State and Kansas State has been a much more competitive series, which is why this rivalry has taken off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, by the way, there's only 4 protected rivalries. And it's Arizona State, the Holy War, Sunflower Showdown, and the Revivalry, which I will not call the Blue Bonnet Battle. I don't care if they rip my toenails out, torturing me. I'm like, no, just I'm not calling it that.
I'll be right next to you. They could torture both of us, and I'm with you. I'm not calling it the Blue Bonnet Bowl.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that at all. So
civilized
Ari,
people talking about civilized football. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about this game as it creeps up on us. It's two great quarterbacks, two defenses that should be good, running games. What do you think that we will see that maybe we're not expecting from either of these two teams?
Well, I mean, what are we expecting out of Avery Johnson?
Yeah.
This is a guy that didn't complete a ton of passes last year. I think that was the big bugaboo. He was, he had some high highs and low lows, and we know he's an effective runner, but I think it's a huge question mark on how consistent and effective a passer he could be. So I think, starting with Avery Johnson, not a great matchup for him to start the season against, that famed John Haycock 335. And even though Iowa State loses a decent amount from last year's roster, especially on defense, I still think they're going to be as salty as they, are used to being on defense, because it just seems like year in and year out, Paul, no matter who is their personnel on defense, they seem to replace the guys, with other guys that are as effective. And, the strength of Iowa State at this point in their defense is their linebacking corps. I mean, they were decimated by injuries last year in their linebackers, which the silver lining of it was, you get an opportunity now to showcase a lot of those guys that were thrust into the situation to have to play, and you return the guys from injuries, Caleb Bacon and, Ebel, and just a long list of really good linebackers. So I think tough matchup for Avery Johnson out of the gate, because this is a really good elite defense with Dom Orange, and then interior of that defensive line for Iowa State to lead the charge. And then offensively, it'll be a whole new Iowa State look. It's interesting because we talked about Iowa State today on Big 12 Radio on TuneIn. We're doing our 16 team previews over 16 days, and today was Iowa State. And, one of the things that was interesting was the public money is on the under at 7.5 wins for Iowa State, minus 145, whereas the over was at plus 110, which means that a lot of the public thinks that with the losses of Higgins and Knoll, that this offense is going to take a huge step back. And, I think they're probably not putting as much stock into Rocco Becht as they should. They're probably underrating Rocco Becht, who, for my money, is one of the 3-4 best passers in the Big 12. This is a guy that had 8 rushing touchdowns, go along with, his second consecutive 3,000-yard passing season. And yeah, I mean, look, they're not going to be as pass heavy as I think they've been, but I think this is an opportunity with a really good offensive line for them to get their running game going consistently. Abu Sama and Carson Hansen, plus, Ben Bramer at tight end is 6'7", 260 pounds. This is a guy that a couple of years ago looked like he was going to be the next Charlie Kolar for Iowa State, and then got hurt last year. So I think we might see kind of a throwback to, the Breece Hall, Charlie Kolar Iowa State teams with Brock Purdy. And I don't know that Sama and Carson Hansen are on that level yet, but I just think there's a precedent here for Iowa State's offense to look like that. And that's what I think, that's what I'm expecting to see. So both teams could look a little bit different, but in terms of, what would surprise us, I mean, Avery Johnson is interesting. And again, to kind of chart him and where he ends up, and their Kansas State's expectations of winning a Big 12 championship, and then Iowa State, a really tough matchup for Avery out of the gate, and, still an elite offense.
Iowa State only took 8 transfers in the portal.
Yeah, not exactly Texas Tech, Paul.
No. Kind of the exact opposite, but 2 of them were wide receivers, and I wouldn't sleep on those guys, particularly the guy Chase Soul that they got from East Carolina. I think he's going to be pretty good. Is he going to be Jaden Higgins or no? I mean, maybe not, but if he's close, again, they don't need Sama and Hansen to be Breece Hall. They just need to be Breece Hall in the aggregate. You don't need Higgins, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll to be cloned. They just need the guys that are there to replace that production as a group. And that's not saying that one of them may not be a breakout star. We don't even know that yet. The season hasn't started, but they have a really good quarterback, and that should make that way more possible than it would be if they were having to replace Rocco Becht, which the one thing about Rocco Becht is the intangible of he is a close game quarterback. He's a guy you want in a close game, because even though he takes chances throughout the game, he knows when not to take them in the close parts of it, and he knows how to get his team down the field in 2 minutes, and that's really important in this league.
Yeah, he won a lot of games for them last year in the 2-minute drill, and 4 of them. In fact, he had a 5th, but the problem was Texas Tech then went back and scored and won the game. But Rocco Becht put them in position for a 5th time to win a game down the stretch. I mean, he's elite. He's, probably severely underrated. And, look, I think you mentioned Soul, and he comes in from East Carolina as a guy that's been very productive. I think he's got back-to-back 1,300-yard seasons. So he's going to be the Higgins. And then they bring in Xavier Townsend from UCF, who's going to be more of the Knoll. And, again, I think, like, they're not going to replace that production, even amongst the receivers, most likely. But I think their offense will look different. And, a lot more will be asked of Rocco Becht, sort of like Sam Levitt in losing Cam Scadaboo. And I think that's okay. Like, I think if you're Rocco Becht, like, you want that. And I think I'm confident that he can get it done. So, yeah, I mean, look, they've replaced those receivers with guys that they think, can make an impact. But this is a developmental program, and Matt Campbell has consistently said as much. They're not going to get into bidding wars. I mean, as you said, they're the antithesis of Texas Tech, and that's fine. But I think we have to recognize, too, with that is, like, they, for the first time in program history, won double-digit games last season. They started off undefeated until the month of November for the first time in program history since 1938. They had 4 picks. They had 4 players drafted in the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft, which was the first time that's ever happened. So, even though they're not spending on the level of a Texas Tech or some of these other programs, don't let that fool you in terms of talent. I mean, they are at this point in time churning out more NFL talent than they ever have, even despite not being huge players in the NIL game, admittedly. So I think there's a proof of concept here, and that players buy into that. I mean, it's clear that a guy like Rocco Becht saw what Brock Purdy did, and Becht's numbers already are better than Purdy's were. That's to say nothing about their NFL careers, obviously, but I mean, Becht's been a better quarterback than Purdy was at Iowa State, and he's just the next iteration. So, look, Campbell's resume speaks for itself. I think players buy into it. Dom Orange is another great story. He was a 4-star out of Kansas City and had originally committed to, I think, Georgia, but ballooned and gained a ton of weight in his senior year of high school. And Georgia and Ohio State, and then Miami, 3 teams in particular. Cristobal had left Oregon and went to Miami. Cristobal straight up ghosted Dominique Orange, and the other 2 dropped their scholarship. So by default, Iowa State got him. And I mean, he told us at Big 12 Media Days that another Power 5 program in the state of Iowa offered him 6 figures to leave, basically told us on the record that he was tampered with by Iowa and that he didn't leave. So, that speaks to the type of program and culture that Matt Campbell has. And again, like, they don't have to be big spenders in the NIL game because they're bringing in more talent right now than they ever have in terms of their program. And that trajectory continues to go up.
Yeah, absolutely. Ari, who do you think among the middle pack of teams that are, like, I think TCU's probably in that middle, Utah's in that middle right now, that people are kind of waiting and seeing on, has the most potential to be the team that shoots up there? Because I wouldn't put Tech in that middle pack right now. They are Big 12 title game or bust with what they've done.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I think, and this is part of the issue this time of year is, you look for indicators of success, and yet at the end of the day, like what we found last 2 years is those don't necessarily matter. And that's what's unique about the Big 12. Like, we could pretty much plot out the top 10 of the preseason AP poll for 2026, even before the 2025 one has been released, because I mean, it's gonna be the same usual suspects. I mean, they might as well just rank the teams for the AP poll based on their recruiting rankings, because that's what it seems like they do every year. And I think part of that too is the predictability of some of those teams at the top, whereas with the Big 12, there's just not much of a predictability, which I think hurts the conference in a perception standpoint. I picked Baylor to win the Big 12 this year. I'm surprised there aren't more people picking Baylor. I mean, this was the hottest team in the Big 12. The last 5, 6, 7 weeks of the season, they bring back everybody. And I think if there's one area of their defense that had to improve, which was their big play defense, they gave up a ton of big plays last year, as you know, Paul. That's something I trust Dave Aranda to help fix. So that's why I picked Baylor to win the Big 12. I've got Baylor playing Texas Tech. So, the Butt Bowl we will not see in the regular season, but we will see in the postseason, and that's what I'm predicting. I'm not as high on Utah as some of the others are. And while I think Utah will be vastly improved and they're going to have an elite running game, I question whether or not they can have, a complementary passing game. They don't have to have an elite passing game because they're going to have an elite running game. But I do think at times they're going to have to be able to throw the football. And I question whether or not they could do that against defenses that force them to do that. Cincinnati's a team that you kind of feel like they're ready to break out. They've got a really, under the radar week 1 matchup against Nebraska in Kansas City. And I mean, that will be basically a road game for them in a neutral site because of the, proximity to Nebraska from the Kansas City area. And I think there's just a lot of expectations on Nebraska this year. But I mean, Brendan Sorsby started off really hot when Cincinnati was 5-0, and, to a man, Scott Satterfield and some of the other players and people around Cincinnati have talked about, like, they just didn't have the weapons on the outside to create separation. And over time, Sorsby just didn't want to take chances in throwing balls to guys that weren't open. And so he became much more of a running quarterback in the second half of the season. And, and Cincinnati didn't win a game after that. But I think Brendan Sorsby is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in this conference. They seem to have found some weapons, a lot of speed. Caleb Goody's a guy to watch from Colorado State. And they've got others. Plus, I really like, they brought in Joe Cotton from South Dakota, who's a monster of a man at left tackle. And then I think they've got one of the best and most underrated front sevens in college football, with a great linebacking core and then Dante Corleone to kind of lead the way in the middle of that defensive front. So Cincinnati's probably like a surprise team for me. I picked Baylor to win and beat Texas Tech. I mean, I think Arizona State should be there. I mean, you give me Kansas State, Arizona State, Texas Tech, Baylor, Iowa State, and I think you've got your Big 12 championship game out of those 5.
Yeah. I think I agree with you there. I'm big on Utah. I'm really big on Utah. I think I might have it like a little bit of a sports crush on Devin Dampier. And I like, Kyle Whittingham really sold me on, like, you've got this guy who had no left tackle, no guards, like none of this. I have the best offensive line I think I've ever had. And he didn't have that last year. Now he does. So we won't have to take so many chances. And I'm like, oh, okay, well,
Mountain West defense is as good as Big 12 defenses, Paul?
Yeah, hey, look, the devil's in the details. Like, don't let me not fall for propaganda, Ari. Like,
well, look, and I mean, you're not the only one. And
yeah.
I mean, look, there's a lot to like about Utah. They have an elite defense. I know they lost a ton on defense, but I don't care. Like, I don't care who your personnel is. They've shown with Morgan Scalley and Kyle Whittingham that no matter who their personnel, like, they're going to be elite on defense. They lose some corners, and they've got like 6'3", 215-pound corners just hanging on trees there. It's like insane.
Yeah.
They just pick them, and I mean they're aggressive, and they just seem to whatever, it doesn't really matter. They've constantly got guys that are ready to come up and take over. So that's going to be an elite defense. I don't have any questions about that. Their running game is going to be elite. In fact, I really like the Jason Beck offense. It reminds me a lot of the Andy Kotelnicki offense at Kansas. It's a zone read option type offense. There's a lot of pre-snap motion. There's a lot of window dressing. And I mean, I think that is going to be very difficult to account for when you look at Dampier's running ability, along with, Nakari Richardson, who comes over from New Mexico with Jason Beck and Devin Dampier, and not to mention Wayshawn Parker, who's a guy that was just south of 1,000 yards last year for Washington State, but averaged over 6 yards a carry. So he's just ready to break out. To me, it's about the passing game. And, so there's a couple of pieces to this. Number one, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that they're zigging when the rest of the conference is zagging, but this is a pass happy league. And so they're definitely a more run centric team in a league that has a lot of passing offenses and elite passing offense. Maybe that works in their favor, or maybe it's one of those like basketball things where you're trading 2s for 3s. Because, obviously you can matriculate down the field a lot quicker throwing the football than you can running. The other part on the receiving piece, and this isn't just on Dampier, is like they don't really have the weapons either. It's sort of like Cincinnati last year, where it's like, do they have guys that can create separation? Tobias Merriweather's got some size on the outside as a guy that came in as a transfer. But to me, it's a combination of Dampier and a lack of weapons. And, when it gets down to it, like, they'll be able to run. Like, they're going to have games they're going to run for 250, 300 yards as a team. Like, I have no doubt in my mind. They're going to blow some teams away just being able to run the football. Week 1 at UCLA is a game that I penciled in with that. Like, UCLA struggled to tackle last year. Like, you're in trouble against this rush offense.
They'll throw 15 passes or less in that game.
Right, exactly. And they'll win. And they'll average 7 yards a carry. But I think to win the Big 12, they've got to be able to pass. Like, there's going to be defenses that are going to force them to have to make throws. And we'll see. We'll see if Dampier can do it, because And again, it's not all on Dampier. I don't know that they have the weapons of the outside to do it either. So, until we see it, I'm just not convinced that they'll be able to keep some defenses honest. The one I've been pointing out is the Cincinnati game later in the season, where it's like, if they haven't proven that they can be multidimensional on offense, and again, we just talked about that front seven for Cincinnati, like you're not creating conflict with those linebackers at the point of attack. So, you look at Jason Bean when he took over for Kansas a couple of years ago and led Kansas to the 9-win season. Like, he was a track star, but he was able to throw complete passes down the field and be consistent with it. That's how you create conflict at linebacker, where you've got to catch them in between. And I'm not convinced that Devin Dampier and Utah's offense can do that.
Yeah. And again, we'll see, and we get to see here in a couple of weeks. Ari, how do you feel about the Bill Self today? Said he's got no restrictions and all that. You're a KU grad. I am married to one, as everybody knows. You got to meet her. You were very excited to meet her, by the way. She was like, "How long have you known him?"
Wonderful.
I was like, I've known him a very long time. And when I told him I was marrying a KU grad, he was like, our friendship went up a level. Like, I could feel it move up a level. Like, I went from not that we weren't friends, but I went from a tier to another tier.
Yeah.
Because now we have a shared interest, right?
You're in a more elite tier. And not only is she a KU grad and fan, like, she's big time. Like, she is a huge KU fan.
Yeah. So how do we feel about Bill? Like, how do we, it was good news. I mean, he's feeling great. He's no restrictions, but the thing I feel like I'm going to have to deal with my KU family, and of course me as a basketball fan as well, is either in the spring of 2026 or the spring of 2027, we're going to have to watch a press conference where he's like, "I'm moving to Florida," and it's just I don't know how the KU fan base is going to cope, because he is the Bobby Bowden, whatever you want to say, like Tom Osborne, for football people. It's not just that he was really good at coaching. He is the identity of the school, in so many ways.
Yeah, no, look, he's the best coach in the history of the University of Kansas in basketball, and that says a lot. The guy who invented the sport coached basketball at Kansas.
Yeah.
Roy Williams, it was unbelievable. Never won a national championship. Larry Brown obviously won a title in 1988 with them, but wasn't there long enough. Going back, Fog Allen, we're talking about some of the greatest coaches in the history of the sport. He's the winningest coach in KU history. He's won 2 national titles. He's been to twice as many Final Fours. So, the resume speaks for itself. But let's set aside the health piece for a moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just put that to the side for a second. I think there's been some legitimate questions about Self these last couple of years, independent of the health piece, and maybe they were just victims of their own circumstance in terms of their roster and their roster construction. But, we talk about trading 3s for 2s, and that's what KU did the last couple of years with Hunter Dickinson. And I think he became pretty problematic for them. Now, again, was that, just sort of the reality of their situation given Dickinson's skill set, or is Bill Self in a situation where he's not willing to evolve? You look across the league, you got a lot of, efficient, high volume 3-point shooting teams. Arizona's a team that's really good without being a great 3-point shooting team, but it just feels like Kansas wasn't nearly close to being its best version of its best self last couple of years. And that falls squarely on the head coach. So, we'll see what they look like this year in terms of their schematics. But I think there's a lot there that remains to be desired. And I don't think KU fans are like, there's 2 pieces to that. There's like he's amazing and he's the greatest ever at a school that has had a lot of great evers. But, in terms of his ability to evolve into the modern, schematics needed, he just was too stubborn to do it the last couple of years. So we'll see what happens. On the health side, I can't imagine it's a good thing to have 2 heart surgeries over a 3-year period or less than a 3-year period. I know one was a heart surgery. The other was putting stents in, replacing stents. I'm not a heart surgeon, so I'm not going to speak too in detail about it. But yeah, it's, he's got to eat better. I think he had to undergo a lifestyle change after the initial heart incident. And he did, I'm sure, to a degree, but not enough to where hasn't caused problems for him. So, I don't think it's a coincidence they brought in Jacques Vaughn as an assistant coach, as a potential contingency long-term plan for them with KU. So yeah, it's a really tenuous situation. But I also think it's kind of interesting too, because Kansas is severely under the radar right now. Like, for a roster that doesn't look much worse than BYU's, it seems like, BYU is getting a lot more love in the preseason discussions than Kansas is. I mean, Darren Peterson is every bit as good as AJ DeBanza. In fact, Darren Peterson, the incoming freshman, is the odds-on favorite now to be the number 1 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. So anytime you've got that kind of guy in your roster, you're in a good starting point. So, we'll see what this team looks like this year.
Ari Temkin, Big 12 Radio on TuneIn. Listen to it. Ari, I've listened to a few of you lately. I need to get caught up on the previews because I'm curious about that. Yeah. No, because you're 16 to 16 days. You're at Iowa State. I would assume you're like 9, 10 through right now, right?
Yeah. So Iowa State is 7.
7. So yeah.
So we'll have TCU on Monday, and then Kansas number 5 somehow in our preseason poll. And then it's like K-State, Baylor, Arizona State, and Texas Tech left. But yeah, all of them are available wherever you get your podcasts. And I appreciate you checking it out. Make sure to text me next time you're listening. That's always fun.
Yeah.
And just want to let everybody know, download the TuneIn app and check us out. It's free.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kansas is going to do well because they're simultaneously playing in the future, present, and past at their stadium. It's going to mess people up.
Literally.
Yeah,
that is literally true. That's a great way to put it, Paul.
You look one way, you're looking in the past. You look one way, you're looking in the future. It's, the only thing that's real
playing in the past, present, and future stadium. That's amazing.
Right there at the same time. It's like they shouldn't change it. They should just leave the one side. Like, once they figure out what a mind screw it is, like,
they should definitely change it. And I'm excited at least for Missouri to come in town next year when they play them in their new stadium. They'll be fully finished.
Yeah. The board, that should also be like, that should be the NCAA protecting that rivalry, border war. If it has a name, it should be played. Yeah. That's the law of Paul Catalina, NCAA president.
And they're playing this year for the first time in 15 years. So it'll be, and it's a good thing, because had Kansas been playing Missouri for the last decade, that would have been problematic for Kansas, because for a decade, Kansas was a FCS school playing in the Big 12.
Yeah. But not anymore. Lance Leipold has come, and the rain clouds have parted. Ari Temkin, a Big 12 Radio on TuneIn. Download it. It's free app. We'll have Ari on again many times, probably regularly, week after week, once the season kicks off. Ari, love you, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Love you too, brother. Take care.
All right. Ari Temkin, Josh Neighbors, College Countdown Podcast. He's next. This is 365 Sports.
The Baylor Club celebrating. How about this? 11 years? Are you kidding me? I remember when McLean Stadium opened up, the Baylor Club was inside, and here we are. All those unbelievable events, football games, memories, and more. And the Baylor Club, 11 years. Renovations underway, getting ready for, of course, that crazy good week at the end of August. Come back with the concert, and then Baylor with maybe their best non-conference football game inside McLean Stadium ever, against Auburn on Friday, August the 29th. And they're kicking off everything that week in style. Thursday night live membership open house. Enjoy music from DJ Jen. Get your game day gear from Baylor Bookstore, Kendra Scott, Love Shack Fancy, and other vendors. Tell them, by the way, 365 Sports sent you. They are a part of what we do, and they're a part of what you do. The Baylor Club, 11 incredible years inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990, or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling. And wrap up your summer in style with the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
Come by, let's be friends.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Josh Neighbors, College Countdown. He is very casual because it is 1,000 degrees in his apartment today. So he's got to relax. He can't run the air as low as he wants to. No, I'm Josh. Nothing has ever made me want you to get you to move down here faster than that.
Isn't it hotter down there though?
But like we have functional AC. I mean, like here's the deal. I don't like that we have to do this apart. You and I and the group, we have chemistry here. Garrett's a big fan. Like it's just, and I don't want to go to Arkansas. No.
Neither did I.
But and I say that with all due love to our people watching in Arkansas.
I love Arkansas.
But it's like, here's the thing. Arkansas is one of those places, like once you cross the border, it's like, I mean, it's very green. It's, it's very beautiful in a lot of parts to it. Yeah. You don't it's one of those things that's unexpected because nobody really talks about it.
Right. Can I give you a quick anecdote? And I actually don't know if you'll be able to keep this in the show or not. So we were discussing today on our radio show, moving to college, and it reminded me of when I had moved here. It was a very much similar experience. So my sophomore year of college, I drove from Virginia, where I'm from, to Missouri, where I went to school. My dad and I drove my car out there, and it was a fun drive, 15 hours, stopped the night, slept for about 5 hours and outside of Louisville and drove the rest of the way. Well, when I moved to Arkansas, very similar experience. I had gotten the show My dad never hesitated once when I asked him, what do you think I should do? Should I move to Arkansas? Should I do this job? I moved. We drove out here, and he fully supported me on my move to Missouri, fully supported me on my move to Arkansas. The only moment I've ever seen my dad show any doubt about what I do for a living and where I'm doing it was when he's like, how about you turn on the radio show that you're going to be joining? So I said, okay. So we crossed the border, like you talked about, Paul, from Memphis into Arkansas,
which is a terrible drive, by the way.
There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing.
It's just you and a million trucks on a 2-lane road.
Totally.
And they're either at the very end of their thing or the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's
Memphis,
not
like West Memphis, total dump, and then it's just nothing. It's absolutely nothingness. So I forget if I pull up the app or we use the FM radio, but I turn it on. And the show that I am doing is on the radio. Show I'm going to be producing is on the radio. They are live from an adult store, and they are asking the man who. And once again, this is an audio medium. They have yet to introduce cameras to the medium, and they are asking the person in the store what individual objects in the store, what function they perform. And my dad looks over at me and he goes, "What have you done?" What have you done with your career? And I'm like, I don't know. I've got no idea.
So
my dad's like, I thought you were doing a sports show. I said, I thought I was too.
So I had a very similar experience here.
Oh my God.
Gosh. So I had moved, I was living in Tampa for a couple of years, and it just wasn't like I was kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Personally, I was just stuck. I didn't know, I was 25. I didn't really know where I was going. My comedy career was it was really expensive. And back in 2005, to reproduce a tape to send to people was really expensive. It was one of those things where, you kind of my dad had done some for me, but I didn't want him to go back and be like, hey, I sent out all 25 that you got. I need 25 more and 25 more and 25 more. And of those 25, you send out 3 people call you back. And it's never oh, by the way, this is Ted Gimbley with the Tonight Show. We came across your tape. This is this is Greg up here in Moultrie, Georgia. We got a bowling alley with a lounge, and we need somebody to feature for our headliner on Friday. And so it's all right, I'm going to go do comedy in a bowling alley. And doing comedy in a bowling alley is wild because you're telling jokes and people are focused, but every time you stop to take a sip of water, or if you pause for effect, all you hear is
him being knocked over.
Yeah.
Lane 35 is ready. Johnson party of 7, lane 35 is ready.
And that's all you hear.
Yeah.
It was pretty well contained because it was far enough off the bowling alley. And there was a really actually nice bar for a bowling alley, but it was still it's a bowling alley. They're loud. There's nothing. So I was at a real crossroads. I was like, man, I'm paying rent. I'm doing this. So my dad said, come back here, come to Waco. I'd never lived in Waco. And so a buddy of mine had said, look, if you want to, and this is good advice for people, if you want to do something, go to that place and just take any job that you can get that you're qualified for and do it. And then meet the people who can teach you how to do it and learn. And then eventually, if you show enough gumption, they're gonna give you a shot.
Totally agree.
That's the best. That's the fastest path to it. It's the fastest path. And so I was suggested to do that. So there's one sports station here in Waco, KRZI, where I wound up working for 15 years. And the show that was on in the afternoon, and the show I eventually wound up on was Tom Bush called You Make the Call. And Butch Henry, God rest his soul, was one of the most wonderful people in my life. But he and Tom were country as hell. And so I'm listening to them and they're talking about mowing their lawn. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go in there. And I don't Garrett knows how the show used to be. And this is pre-Smokies before he ever and I remember thinking oh man, but the thing about that though, is you go in and then you learn about those people and you learn they actually might be pretty good at their job, or this is just a different thing, or I'm going to bring my flavor to this.
Well,
and I think that's the key is you just look, you're the lowest man on the totem pole. You go like give your all, have a good attitude and figure it out, and don't judge. Like you cannot judge. You're not in a position to judge. Yeah. So just
I'll say this too, like, look, we're in the middle of summer, we're getting close to the season, but like this is something that I think in our careers, like, everybody will have these moments. And I remember I used to go to broadcasting camps as a kid, and I remember everybody would have that story, that moment where they talked about, and it was we're going to figure out how badly you want this.
Yeah.
And whether that could be a place you go, people you meet, you will figure out how badly you want to do whatever you thought your dream was. And it's okay if it's not what you want to do, but you will find out. And I'll tell you, ironically enough, those two gentlemen, David Basil and Roger Scott, who were doing the show, asking the man at Cupid's adult store what each apparatus did, what its function was in the relationship and the dynamic.
Yeah.
They have become the two most important people I've ever worked with professionally. No doubt in my mind about that. They have taught me how I would do a show. They would taught me how I would not do a show, the way I speak about people, the way I won't speak about people, the way people interact with them. The fact that like your job really never does stop. People think all the time, Paul, that what we do is we go to microphones and we BS about sports. No, it's not what we do. Like when you shake hands and kiss babies and people recognize you, like every interaction you have with somebody who engages with you is work, right?
Yeah.
You're doing work, you're fostering an audience, you're building an audience, all that kind of stuff. And I have learned that from these two gentlemen who I first heard doing their show, asking about sex objects in an adult store.
Yeah.
So to your point, always say yes, keep a positive attitude. You never know where it might take you.
Yeah, and just learn, learn about people.
You
just learn. And you're like, the thing is, you'll know, like, especially when you start at the bottom, if this is something that you thought it was or you thought it wasn't. Like, you'll figure out, like, when you start at the bottom of, okay, well, like, all right, I'm going to file this paperwork because they asked me to. That's not so bad. Okay, I've got to, and like I did every crap job that there was. I was, just because they let me be on the air and all this, I did every crap job that I could possibly do. And, we had a wedge truck, like those are kind of dead, but like we had to change. We shared it with our other stations in Austin. So we would have it for 2 months. They would have it for 2 months. And so when they would send it back to us, we'd have to take their sides of it off and put ours on. And they bought this thing at a swap meet. And it was, man, you want to talk about all day work. I was doing the morning show at the time. So like 9 o'clock, if it was wedge truck day, from 9 o'clock till about 4 o'clock, it was me and this guy named Matt or Chris Allman, who Garrett knows, like, screws would break off. We'd have to go buy new screws.
That's the find out how badly you want this.
Yeah. It was
that is your find out how badly you want this.
Yeah. And then like you like sometimes like you don't know, you're like angry and you're just yelling at this wedge truck, at this truck.
But you're mad about life. You're not really mad.
You're just yelling at the wedge truck, and then your boss comes out and goes, "Everything all right?" Oh yeah. No. It's fine. It's good. I'm good. I'm good. I haven't thought about taking this thing and driving it into the river, which is right there.
Sitting in the car while it's safe.
Yeah, just letting it all like, no, like this is, I wouldn't even have nobody would figure out what I'm doing. It's literally 200 yards away. I'd be in the river before.
Hopefully the folks out there like have the same feeling we're describing. Like and the thing is like when something gratifying happens at our job, and Paul, this is the last thing I'll say about this because I know you're taking up your time. But the last thing I'll say is like I did the Arkansas basketball postgame show last year. And the flip side of what you're talking about is like, I don't do what I do, so a lot of people listen to me and hear me. It's very flattering. People enjoy what I have to say. But we got a message from a father. His name's Drew. He's one of our sponsors. And he said that I said, my son and I watch every game. And then depending on what the time is, if it's an earlier game at night, we'll listen to Josh's show at night. And if it's the morning, we'll listen to Josh's show. And if it's a late game, we'll listen to Josh's show in the morning. And the fact that a father and a son share part of my commentary's coverage as part of their Arkansas basketball watching experience is the most gratifying thing that's ever happened for me professionally, because that's what my dad and I did. Like when my dad helped drive me to college, or when he drove me out here to Arkansas, he and I listened to podcasts together. If we ever drove to his parents' house, my grandparents in Southwest Virginia, we listened to basketball podcasts. We listened to Bill Simmons. We listened to college football podcasts. And the fact that another father and son got to share that, like it's my stuff and it's part of their watching experience for a sport, like that's actually what we care about. And that's the flip side of what you're talking about. Whether I want to drive in the river and sink to the bottom. The flip side is when somebody says, hey, you're a part of my morning routine. I take my kids to school and we listen to you. We watch the basketball games, we listen to you. That's the flip side, and that's why we do it. And I feel very lucky. As much as it sucks sometimes, I feel very lucky that I get to share experiences and also, things like this. You and I get to chat every Friday. Yeah. It's fun. It's gratifying.
This is not a job. It's career. It's great. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. So Josh, we are just two weeks away from the season, 2 Saturdays away from the season starting. And the first one up is in Ireland. It's Iowa State and Kansas State. And these are 2 extremely interesting teams to me in the Big 12. We had Tim Brando on the show yesterday, and Brando said that he has Iowa State in his top 15 pretty high. I think they were 8th. And he said that the win, if Kansas State wins that game, he's going to flip Kansas State and Iowa State because he thinks that's who's going to be kind of in control of one of those spots for the Big 12 title game on the way out, because that's and there's 2 things going on here. There's no more fun athletic quarterback to watch in the country, maybe than Avery Johnson. And if he's figured out how to not turn the ball over, that's really scary. And there is no better quarterback to watch, at least in the Big 12, maybe around he's top 3 in the country when it comes to close game fourth quarter than Rocco Becht. This is a huge opportunity for the Big 12 with a showcase to start off the season. How big is this game, not only for both teams, but just for the league as it continues its new push to hey, by the way, it's pretty good over here?
This game absolutely slaps. This is the game, and this was so smart. This is what, everybody, you kind of, give guys their credit. Brett Yormark promoting this game and allowing this game to be the one that's up front and close and personal, is so smart, because there is a natural overreaction. The college football, college sports at large is so much narrative driven. Mm-hmm. College football specifically is more narrative driven because there's such a small sample size of it. You only play 12 regular season games. And because of that, as a sports watching culture, we just want to react. We want to give our thoughts. We want to have things to think about and talk about. And so, Paul, as a Florida State guy, nobody knows better than you. I mean, not saying it was an overreaction, but was that game not a harbinger of things to come for Florida State?
Oh, it is. Yes, it is. And it was for Nebraska when they lost to Northwestern.
Yes.
It
Maybe
is.
We forget. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is such a large undertaking. It is, you're not going to go play. This is not, hey, we're going to go play in Kansas City, or we're going to go play in Dallas, or we're going to go play in Vegas. No, you are going to Ireland. You are going to you're going to take they're going to take you all these tours and all these things that you wouldn't normally be doing. You're going to go kiss the Blarney Stone, and you're going to go do all these things in Ireland that you would normally do before a game. Then you have to think about how the schedule comes after it. If you're going to take that, you get that week off. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And then all the things. It is a very large undertaking, and this is an enormous rivalry. As a matter of fact,
massive.
It's a massive rivalry, and I do think that after this game, I think that they've got to go back in the room and make sure that this is protected in the schedule, which they have not done. I think if this one works out how I think it's going to work out, it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
They need to go back in the room and be like, hey, we messed up. We got to make sure this is a protected rivalry.
Paul, are you a Game of Thrones guy? Were you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Avery Johnson, very much like the prince who was promised, right? I mean, just this dynamic athlete who, if he puts it all together, is going to be a special player because of how good of an athlete he was. You've got him, and then you've really got Rocco Becht, the prince who is not promised, because think about how Rocco Becht arrived into our lives. The Iowa State betting scandal put a quarterback front and center who we did not expect to see out there, right? This was not the guy that I think that we all thought we were going to see. And now here we are sitting 3 seasons later, right? And last 2 years combined, he's thrown for 48 touchdowns, 17 picks, and he's thrown for nearly 7,000 yards.
Yeah.
And this is a guy where, like, he's got to get that. His dad played in the NFL. Was it?
Yeah, Anthony Beck. Yeah,
Anthony Beck. Right.
Yeah.
Not like massive, not a big bill, but like this kid's got a lot of experience.
He's got some
just the white guy adjectives.
No, like he's like rascally to it. He's rascally. Yes. Like he's got a little bit of like, he reminds me a bit of like Drew Brees when he was young in his career, where he's not big. Like, I remember I've met Drew Brees several times, and it stuns me like how this guy made it 19 years in the league, being built like he was, right?
Yeah.
And like, but it's because they had this kind of like, devil may care attitude about things. And they enjoyed, like, he enjoys, like, sometimes I think he'd be like, after a game, they could beat Kansas State 45-2. Like, and he'd be walking to the locker room. They'd be like, great win. He'd be like,
sick.
Like he'd be like, great. But like, if the game was 27-24 and they won that game, he would just be like, rock and roll, baby.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. Like, that's what I like about it.
How many wins do you think Rocco Beck has in 2 years, Paul, as a starter?
Probably not as many as I think, but 18. Let's see. 18. Well, it's not bad. That's 9 and 9.
He's averaging 9 wins a year as a starter.
Yeah.
Guess what? We never thought this guy was going to be a starter. Like, he was behind the Hunter Deckers thing, and I forgot if he was third string or not, second or third string, whatever he was.
Yeah.
And he just emerged, and he's just like, he's good. Yeah. And the thing about it is that guys get better typically as they go along. Like, I want to see if he can really, really ratchet up that. I mean, I want to see him if we can get to 4, maybe 5 picks this year. They do rely on him a lot, and so I don't mind some of the bad choices, bad throws that he makes, but I think this guy's got a chance. And like, this is 2 of the best 3-4 quarterbacks in the Big 12 that we're going to see right off the bat. I mean, I wish I could consider Jalen Daniels in the conversation, but it's hard to, considering his injury history. Like, he's almost just like a we're happy if we get him type deal.
Yeah.
Kind of almost additive if he's in the conversation, but he really hasn't been in it enough. But man, this is a great quarterback battle. It's a great coaching battle. Chris Kleiman versus Matt Campbell. I mean, it's about as good as you could ask for leading off the season. Like, this is not – there's no upstarts here. These are just good – these are really good coaches who have built really good programs. Lest we forget, Iowa State 1 game away from the college football playoff last year. I know Cam Ward only plays the first half, and they beat Miami in the bowl game. Like, Matt Campbell just keeps building badass teams at Iowa State.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see these 2 teams because it is – to me, I just saw an article. It's like 25 best rivalries in college football, and I'm not sure this one's up there. It has to be. It should be. We all know it is.
It should be 26th if it's not. Like,
well, you're right, Paul. They got to protect this thing. They've got to protect this thing.
They got to protect it. Okay, real quick, a couple things before we go. I've released my top 25, and and it's the 5 spots a day until Monday. So Monday we'll find out the top 5 of that. I'm going to make a prediction to you about 2 other opening games.
Okay.
Texas and Ohio State and Clemson and LSU.
Okay.
One of those games will have a national championship participant in it. And it's not Texas and Ohio State. It's Clemson and LSU. I think the winner of that game winds up like building the momentum and rolling through, especially if it's Clemson, because their schedule's not quite as tough as LSU's is. But if LSU wins that game, it means that Brian Kelly is finally taken a step forward. Am I crazy to think that?
No, I think you and I talked about this last week, that in terms of returning production, Ohio State and Texas were both in the hundreds.
Yeah.
And an interesting question, Paul, I really like to know is, and I think actually I maybe I should email Bill Connolly about this and see if I can get a response out of him. How many teams has there ever been a team ranked in over 100 in returning production that's played for a national championship? And I'd like to know in the college football playoff era if that's been the case, because I think what was your calculus? Was that a part of it? Because we really don't know about. And do you think Arch Manning's going to be good? I think he's going to be good, but I don't.
I think it's going to be great, but that also means that like everybody else, like, is everybody else going to be?
Yes.
You know, like, okay, you're putting a lot on just Arch. I think Arch is going to be fantastic. I think we're going to see 2 amazing Manning years like that we know about at quarterback at Texas. I think we're going to see that. But I do wonder about everybody else. Like that to me is a thing. Like you've got to do that. And look, both these teams could be 10-2 and 9-3 and they're fine, but I do think that there's a potential for them to do that as where if LSU and Clemson in this Tiger Bowl in fake Death Valley, I'm doing that because I don't want Garrett to come across me here. But if they have that, like to me, that one, the winner, like, and look, it might be the winner of both those games. Like it might be, say it's Clemson and Texas. That might be our national championship game. Like honestly,
your take might have been in danger this week because the Nussmeier thing was, everybody's freaking out. It sounds like he's okay though, right?
Yeah. He just got a little bit of a tendonitis or something. Garrett sat in this room and cried for 45 minutes.
Let's keep an eye on it. Let's keep an eye on it because it doesn't sound like it's as bad as it was talked about. But hey, you never know. There could always be something there at that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, here's the thing. Coaches lie about injuries more than they lie about anything. Coaches lie about injuries more than Hugh Freeze lies about. No.
Hey, he's good to go. How bad the Cam Rising Utah thing?
Yeah.
He's good to go. And we don't see him for the entire
he's getting so much better.
You remember the Florida-Utah game? They're like, he might play. And then he didn't play the entire year.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, last thing.
Yeah.
Would you rather listen? Your mascot's a tiger. Garrett's is a tiger. Mine is a human person with a horse.
Totally.
With weapons.
Yes.
If we're talking winning games on mascot fight, do you feel more comfortable with a human mascot or an animal mascot?
Well, I mean, it's like, do I have?
And we're not giving them mythical demons, like whatever a blue devil or a sun devil is.
Let's go practical here. Like, if you gave me the Bruin, I love my chances.
Okay.
I mean, if we're going grizzly bear, and like, I know you got a spear, but man, like, it's going to take more than the spear to stop the grizzly bear. Right?
I probably have a bow and arrow. I know I have a tomahawk.
Like, I actually like your chances against the tiger more than the grizzly bear.
Yeah. No, I do. Like the grizzly bear.
There's more surface area to hit on grizzly bear, but grizzly bear is tougher than tiger. I'll give you. I will see that. Yeah. So it depends on the human. I'll give you this one. How about this? I'll give you Seminole against my Missouri Tiger. I think Truman goes down.
Okay.
I will take you. What's the UCLA Bruins name? Brewy or something like that? Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know.
I will if it's a bear mascot like that. We're probably like the duck. The Oregon Duck probably loses every fight.
Here's the thing about gators. They rely on stealth, right? They rely on the fact that you're swimming in the water and you don't see them, or you fall in, or you're right at the edge and they just leap out and get you. But once they're out of the water, they're not really a problem, right?
Yes.
So as long as your human or other animal mascot doesn't fall into their trap, you should be okay. Right. I thought about this a lot with Miami. If Miami is the ibis, they're cooked. They're cooked if they're the ibis. But if they're an actual hurricane, then they win almost all these things.
If you're it's really not fair to be like a
force of nature.
Like Iowa State. Yes, it can't be a force of nature.
Yeah, it's got to be an animal. It's got to be
something
an
physical.
animal or something tangible like that you can. Yeah. So and then we got to figure out what kind of imp and demons that blue and sun devils.
Like Cy the Cardinal for Iowa State has to be their mascot.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we have to do. We can't so Miami's chosen a very weak bird.
Yes.
Yeah, they've got a problem.
Totally cooked.
Yeah, they've got a problem. Now, look, Alabama has an elephant. Like, you don't want to mess with an elephant. I'm surprised there's not more hippos. That's the most dangerous animal in Africa.
Totally true. Not very intimidating, though, I think.
Yeah.
In theory. But in practice, you ever see the crocodile versus hippo stuff? Hippos are
they're crazy,
nasty.
Man.
They are nasty.
Yeah. I saw somebody on the internet feed a hippo a watermelon the other day, and they put it through the grate. And the hippo's grateful for the watermelon, but they were like, we're not getting close to this hippo. I'm going to chest pass this watermelon into his mouth and he'll be fine. I'm not going to be
like, here you go. Here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Neighbors, College Countdown. The first episode's out or coming
Jack
out?
Allen and I.
That's Jack Allen, the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Allen.
Yes, sir.
Josh Neighbors, College Countdown podcast with us every Friday. Josh, we'll see you next week, buddy.
Yes, sir.
All right. That is Josh Neighbors. The top 5 comes up next. Actually, it doesn't. I thought this was going to be later in the show when I first did it. So we have exciting news as Royden Ogletree joins us now. It's going to be Royden and me and Garrett, who is over there now. Hi, Garrett. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. You and Brandon have switched jobs.
Something like that.
Would you say that you and Brandon like that you've switched jobs yet?
I say it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. And then, of course, Faith Lynch is over here. And Faith, we're going to do our Heisman poll. Royden Ogletree, KBTX. Royden, how the hell are you, buddy?
I'm good. Can you hear me? Because I have
Yes.
so many wires and everything going in different directions on my desk now that I'm going to freak out.
Yes, you sound like a beautiful songbird.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And welcome into the KWTX sports office. You can see papers and Kleenexes and an old Mahia Black Cat helmet strewn everywhere. So, yeah, congratulations and welcome into our world.
Well, the last time we had to do a show there one day because we had no electricity or internet or anything here because of a truck hit the power line. And did I not take, this is not the sports, this is now the sports office. But at that time you had a desk and I took several things from your desk hostage. Have those things moved inside the sports office?
You know, they aren't here currently. If you've been holding them hostage, you might need to check on them because I'm not quite sure that they're anywhere to be found right now.
Okay, good deal. Well, yeah, I thought I gave them all back to you, but we might have thrown them away. Who knows?
Ant-Man or the Wasp is still missing.
Okay. Yeah, I think I don't know. It was here for a while.
It was here. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to that.
So, all right. So we're going to do we are going to do a Heisman draft. And so because we're gentlemen, ladies first, Faith is going to go first. And then Garrett's going to go second because he's in the midst of a bit of a troubling day at work and he needs a pick-me-up. I will go third. And you will go fourth because I think it's courteous to give you. We're going to do 4 picks, and then we'll explain the picks as we go along. But I wanted you to have the 2 picks back to back, Roy.
Okay, we're doing snake draft. I have to know the rules.
Snake draft, 4 picks because there are 4 finalists for the Heisman Trophy. Usually, sometimes there's 3, but we'll go with 4. So we will start with Faith Lynch, number 1 overall pick.
I'm going to kick us off with Arch Manning. I'm going to take him off the board before we get started. I'm excited to watch. I feel like there's a lot of hype. Will it play out? I don't know. I feel like, Paul, you made a great point of how is everyone else going to do? I think that's like the question of, we know he's going to do well, but what is everyone else going to do to stack up against him? So I'm going to take him off the board before it gets before it gets going.
All right.
Manning's notorious for winning Heismans.
Oh, yes.
True.
Very. He would be the first one to do that. So I'm going to keep a list here so that we can go through it. So the number 1 pick, not surprising, he is the odds-on favorite in Vegas, Arch Manning to Faith. So, Garrett, you are next.
Ooh, I'm going to go K. Klubnik. I love K. Klubnik. I think going back to high school, he's the most all-around best quarterback I've ever covered. It was Garrett Gilbert until I got to cover K. Klubnik. I think watching his development at Auburn, seeing that offense finally find its rhythm under Garrett Riley, the additions that they brought in to help him this season, and the matchups. I mean, you get to start out against LSU, which I think Clemson will beat them. That should be a big win out the gate for the Tigers and his resume. You look at through the schedule they face. He's going to play SMU, which was in the playoffs last year. I just think everything's lining up for Clemson to take care of business and K. Klubnik to put up big numbers and put his name in the Heisman run.
Okay, I'm going to take Garrett Nussmeier.
Fair.
I'm going to take Garrett
Not
Nussmeier.
a bad choice.
So
his knees work.
Yeah.
Man, that's a great question.
I'm going to trust Brian Kelly right now.
Sure.
That's normal.
I think he's fine. I think if he knee was legit hurt, we'd know and the alarm bells would be sounding right now.
We would.
We'd know. So, Royden, you have 2 picks.
First pick, I'm going to go. He's getting a ton of hype, which makes me kind of nervous, but I'm going to go with Sam Leavitt. 24 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions as a redshirt freshman. He also is one of the best running quarterbacks that you're going to find that are on the Heisman favorite list. And he ran for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns last year on 110 carries. Now, the college football, the way that they count sack yards lost hurts a little bit, but
it's so dumb.
It's so stupid. But the idea that I think they're not going to have Cam Scattaboo, and then they're going to have to ask him, I think, to do a little bit more. Will he propel them to the heights that they found last year by making the college football playoff? By doing that, I'm not sure. But if they do get back to sort of that standard, he's going to have a big year. So I'm going to go with Sam Leavitt. And then it's tough going all quarterback, but actually I'm going to do this. I'm going to go Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State, 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 76 receptions as a freshman. He's unbelievable. And they've been known to now we are now giving Heismans to wide receivers again. So I'm going to go Jeremiah Smith.
Okay. I am going to go John Mateer from Oklahoma.
Ooh, nice.
I think he's going to have crazy big numbers. I think Oklahoma is going to be the surprise team of the SEC. I think they're going to win some big games. I'm a big John Mateer guy. I'm going John Mateer with my second pick. I think that's going to be really, really interesting. I think that Ben Arbuckle coming with him, they're coming together. There's no learning of the language. There's no that. It's them teaching everybody else. And with a quarterback there, I think it's going to go masterfully there. And again, big John Mateer stan here. So Garrett, your second pick.
Oh, let's see. I'm going to switch it up. Give me Jeremiah Love. Give me the running back from Notre Dame. I think that the Irish are going to rely on him heavily this year. I think losing Riley Leonard was a bigger loss than some people are expecting for the Irish. I really like Marcus Freeman. They always have an elite offensive line to run behind, and I think you're going to see Jeremiah Love put up some big numbers this season.
Okay, Faith.
I think I'm going to go DJ Lagway.
Ooh,
I'd love to see it. I think
I would not.
I think if he stays healthy, I think he'll progress well. I think he's got a good staff behind him to attack everything they're supposed to this year. I would love to see him live up to the expectation that he's supposed to. I think he had a really great freshman year. Would love to see that in his sophomore year.
All right. And you have another pick as well.
Oh, perfect. I'm going to grab Sawyer Robertson while he's on the board.
All right.
Oh, I was going to take Sawyer.
I want to see it happen. I want him on my team when it does happen. I want to say I picked him first. Yeah, I think he can do it. I think Baylor has a lot of hype to live up. They're in that Big 12 conference title conversation. I'd love to see him be a part of that.
Okay. Back to you, Garrett.
Oh, my God. Let's see. More than likely going to be quarterback heavy. Let's go.
Drew Aller, Penn State.
I hate Drew Aller. I do not trust Drew Aller. Give me Lenore Sellers.
That's what
Let's shake it up. Let's get wild with this. Let's have some crazy playmaking ability and some big plays, kind of reminiscent to what you saw with Johnny Football in that run where he used his legs to open things up when the offense didn't. I mean, you had like a good person around you to rely on, and Mike Evans. I think Lenore's has that. But he doesn't have a lot of depth around him to help him out. So give me Lenore Sellers with what he does, balancing out with his footwork this year.
All right. This is getting tough.
It is.
This is getting tough. Gosh.
You're not going to choose your guy, Devin? Dampier, your crush?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to take Devin Dampier. I will, though. Yeah, I want to take Ryan Williams from Alabama.
Yes,
but I don't know about Ty Simpson yet. Yeah, he's kind of at the mercy of that. So I'm gonna make what I think is the midway safe pick here, and I'm gonna go with Kevin Jennings of SMU.
Okay,
because I think he can put up big numbers in that offense. I like Kevin Jennings. He's been fun. All right, so Royden, your last two picks.
Okay, this is tough because, like I said, I didn't want to all go quarterback heavy, but all the quarterbacks that I really think have a decent chance of winning, maybe outside of if Dante Moore has a great season at Oregon. I kind of wanted to put something on the board here that I thought would be interesting. And so I'm going to go Colin Simmons at Texas.
Okay.
9 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, an interception last year, 31 tackles. He's coming off the edge. It was between him or Dylan Stewart, one of the freaks of college football, for a pass rusher. So I wanted to see if we could get something on the board there. It'd be a toss-up because Kyle Kennard is gone and Dylan Stewart just has to step up and actually do something for South Carolina. But Colin Simmons by far is the best edge rusher in the sport. So I'm going to go with him. And then the homer pick, I'm going to go Bryson Washington.
Okay.
As this offense goes, so goes Bryson Washington. Or as Bryson Washington goes, so goes this offense. He didn't play every game. I think it was 11 or 10 last year.
Yeah.
175 carries. Once he got in, they ran the mess out of him, 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. They also threw it to him more than I expected, 22 receptions for 200 yards, and he caught a touchdown. I'd look for them to throw it to him a little bit more this year out of the backfield, hitting those checkdowns and stuff, and maybe even a few more design routes. But I think he's going to be awesome. He's on the Doak Walker Award list and everything. The only problem that I find with this, if you've covered high school football around here long enough, he literally had like 1,000 carries at Franklin when he was playing. He was like lining up in shotgun and taking snaps. He was also playing linebacker. He has some miles on him, but I really think he's a workhorse.
Okay. This is a wild card pick. And by the odds, all these are about the same. Like Devin Dampier is getting plus 5,000. Not picking him yet, though. I want to build it up.
Mm-hmm.
I am between two guys here, Garrett.
Okay.
Two guys. And I have a feeling you might wind up taking the other one that if I don't take.
Okay.
When I say this logic. But I'll just say it right out loud. I'm between Avery Johnson and Dylan Raiola.
Oh,
I am gonna go with Avery Johnson because he is much more of a dual threat quarterback and will probably have more stats. So if we're talking about wild cards, you got to go with a guy who has stats. Avery Johnson, John Mateer, Kevin Jennings, all dual threat quarterbacks on my list.
And Dylan Raiola, notoriously fleet of foot as well.
I mean, he's not, but he's not that dual threat guy. I think Nebraska is poised for a breakout this year. I think they are because it's year 3 of Matt Rule. But I'm still going to go with Avery Johnson, who I was big on last year. I'm big on again. So Avery Johnson is my darkest horse pick there. But Kevin Jennings right before him.
I like Kevin Jennings.
But even still, it's getting tough. So Garrett, your final
real
pick.
Quick, does it feel like the year that like Avery Johnson, it's going to be one of those Kansas State years where they just go 10-2 and Avery Johnson runs for 1,000 yards and 20 touchdowns or something like that?
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Man, okay, so I want to go quarterback, but I'm going to switch it up again. Give me Nick Singleton, running back from Penn State.
Okay.
I think that they're going to have to rely on him heavily. Like I mentioned earlier, Royden, I don't trust Drew Aller this year. I think Penn State's going to find themselves in a lot of gritty, dirty games where you're going to need to rely on your rushing attack and use both running backs, not just Singleton. But I wanted to go Trey Wisner here. I thought about doing it, but I'm going to ride with Nick Singleton.
Wait, Trey Wisner's in a timeshare. So
he is. That's why I didn't do it, because he's not going to get the reps needed. I really would love to see it, but I'm going to go Nick Singleton.
Okay.
Like Garrett, Drew Aller's PFF numbers are so good.
Bro, PFF. Are we going PFF? We trust PFF?
Okay. Faith, wrap it up for us.
Yeah. I guess I'm just going to pick all quarterbacks. I don't know if y'all are going to like this one.
It doesn't matter
I'll just go with Josh Hoover.
Josh Hoover?
That's not a bad pick.
I feel like he could surprise us. I think TCU is going to surprise a lot of us. I like the way they're trending. I feel like the hype around them could happen. I feel like TCU has done it before, so I'd like to see him be a part of that next quarterback generation. He's not in this conversation, but Chandler Morris, I feel like could have done a lot of great things at TCU if he would have stayed, all the things. So we'll see. I don't know. That's my final list. That's my 4.
Okay. So Faith's list is Arch Manning, DJ Lagway, Sawyer Robertson, and Josh Hoover.
That's a good crop.
Yeah.
She's probably going to win.
That's a good crop of quarterbacks.
I feel like there's some people in there that are going to surprise later on if their team does their job.
Right.
Garrett's list is Cade Klubnik, who I was hoping he would go homer pick and let me get Cade Klubnik. But
I couldn't do it.
Cade Klubnik, Jeremiah Love, Lenora Sellers, and Nick Singleton. So 2 running backs for Garrett.
Yep.
Faith and I are the same. We're all 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I've got Garrett Nussmeier, Kevin Jennings, John Mateer, and Avery Johnson. Okay. And then Royden, Sam Levitt, which I really do like that pick.
Yep.
Yeah, me too.
Colin Simmons, Bryson Washington, and Jeremiah Smith. And Jeremiah Smith. So Royden only has one quarterback in his list. So Royden is the one who is shaking up the norms and challenging the normal view there. So we will put this up on a graphic. We'll put it on social media. And then we're going to get all four back together in December and see how we did.
Love it.
Yeah, and see how many.
Surprise! None of Royden's picks even were invited.
Like it would be hilarious if one of us just got all four.
Yeah,
right. Just nailed all four picks.
That would be nuts.
So we'll see, and we will. And then whoever we'll create some sort of scoring system.
Like
if you have the winner, it's 5 points.
Yeah.
If you have a finalist, it's 4 points. Top
do
10
the Heisman voting system.
In the voting system is like a point, like 2 points or something like that. And then we'll go through these and see. And here's the other thing: we drafted 16 people. There's somebody not on this list who's going to be very high up, at least in the voting.
I mean, they'll probably win it.
Yeah, someone we're not even thinking about. That
did y'all have any honorable mentions?
I would who I'll throw out there. Dylan Raiola would have been my honorable mention, and Francisco Mendoza from Indiana.
Yeah. Well, their schedule is so cake. He's going to put up numbers. Yeah, that's why. I wonder if that would come back to haunt him, though. Like, you find yourself in a Caden Salter situation where it's like, dang, dude, you put up all these great numbers, but the schedule doesn't reflect that. That's going to hinder you when we're looking down and breaking down that situation.
Yeah. Diego Pavia, right?
I think Pavia's getting figured out, man. I think second go around for Pavia in the SEC is going to be a reality check.
Seventh-year quarterback.
Seventh year. He's going to get a reality check.
So,
I'm excited to watch Baron Morton. I feel like if all of these transfer portal things play out and Tech is expecting it to do what it's supposed to do, I think it would be interesting to see him in that running.
Okay.
I had a deep, dark horse cut for the Baylor audience. It was what if Josh Cameron really does return 400 yards of punts and a couple of touchdowns and also catches 12 T. He'd have to triple or double his receiver output from a year ago. He only had 700 yards, but he did catch 10 touchdowns. But we've seen in the past where it's like, if you do two things, they love to put you up on the Heisman ballot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Royden, thank you so much for joining us for this. Anything interesting coming up on your newscast tonight?
All two-a-days, which is where we interview all of the high school football coaches across the area. Tonight we have Belton and Lorena, so two schools that are looking to bounce back from last year. We will do those throughout the rest of August, and then you got to get. I mean, it's all high school football right now, man. As you know, I mean, it never ends. It starts and then it feels like it never ends. So we have started doing all of that coverage right now. You probably saw Chad's working hard to get his covered for the weekend already. So that's really what we're doing. And God bless all of these Central Texas coaches.
Look, they have a Mejia Black Cats helmet right behind you. So
and a little UMHB 2021 championship.
Yeah. I was the voice of the Black Cats back early in my career. I'm sure they still talk about me in Mejia.
Yeah, the echoes of Paul Catalina.
Like you walk booth and they're like, this is where magic happened.
Oh no, man. I was in that booth last year. It was a pretty rough booth.
History happened here. It's on the opposite side. It's on the visitor side. It's very weird.
Oh my gosh.
And then the other side looks like rodeo stands.
It does.
Which I think
it does. It goes out over.
I think that's where they got them from. I think they're
I'm pretty sure that's where they got them from.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. When we come back, Justin Williams of The Athletic, Garrett, really enjoyed you sitting over there.
Appreciate that.
It was
man.
nice.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. So the Faith and I will talk to Justin Williams of The Athletic. That's next. Thanks to Royden. This is 365 Sports.
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go and international and and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
Come back. There we go. You'll get it, Brandon. Don't worry. You'll get it, buddy. Brandon Rowe is switched roles with Garrett Ross, and Garrett. They're both learning the ropes. So, if you just feel like give them a hug, just do that. It's difficult. Faith Lynch sitting in for Smokey and Craig simultaneously today, and Justin Woody of the Athletic, frequent guest on the show, friend of the program. Justin, always great to talk to you. So you did a deep dive into who is really running college, like who is the strongest person when it comes to running college football? And I say person or entity. Is it the SEC or Big Ten? Is it Congress? Is it the president? What did you find out about the levers moving college football and college athletics right now as you dove into this that maybe you didn't expect?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of been the running joke with college football, for a long time, that there's too many cooks in the kitchen and no one's really in charge. Everyone knows that. But when we started out, devising this piece and how we're going to put together, we were trying to pinpoint and narrow down, all right, who's actually pulling the strings here for college football? And I guess the revelation was the joke is more true than I think even people realize. It was impossible to just say, that ESPN and Fox are in charge, or that the Big Ten and SEC or Congress. All of these people have had pretty significant impact in some way on the sport. And there's a bunch of others that we list in the piece. Some more than other have had a hand in the way things have gone over the past 2 decades. But it's as much as it's kind of become like a cliche joke, you really can't just narrow it down to 1 or 2 people who are kind of guiding the sport of college football. And in some ways, I think that points to the issues with the sport. But in other ways, I think if you really talk to people that love college football, that kind of chaos, as annoying and frustrating as it is at times, it's also a big reason why I think a lot of us kind of love and are just consistently, finding fun and quirky things about the sport.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you go through this article and it's not just, it's the President of the United States, it's the Congress, it's TV networks, the Brian Seeley, who's the commissioner of the College Sports Commission now, which I would say that of all these things, he might, if you had to rank them in order, if there was an actual order, he and Charlie Baker would come in last, because they really don't have any control over what's going on at all. And the College Sports Commission is a month old, and we still don't even know what the rules are, Justin. Like that's the strangest thing, I think, in all of sports is we have an enforcement body in college athletics, but we have no idea what the rules are.
Yeah, you're right. Because if you're talking about this from the whole house settlement perspective, you have the NCAA, which is a big, they're one of the main defendants in this lawsuit settlement. And then you have this newly created College Sports Commission, which is the Power 4 conferences, or Power 5 in this case, because the Pac-12 would still be a part of it because they're part of the lawsuit. They're basically saying, hey, we're putting this guy in charge of kind of this new entity. And you're right. So if you're just kind of laying it out for someone and explaining it to them, then that person would say, well, then clearly either Charlie Baker, the head of the NCAA, or Brian Seeley, this newly appointed head of this newly appointed enforcement arm, those would have to be the important people, right? And you're right. You can make a case that, you could maybe even put these guys below Jimmy Sexton, the super agent, or something like that. And part of that, honestly, is to Charlie Baker's credit, the NCAA president. He's kind of, I think, helped put things in a more progressive direction by actually taking some power away from the NCAA. But, on the Brian Seeley College Sports Commission front, it's only been a month. It's been a pretty rocky rollout for this new enforcement arm. We haven't really seen them, kind of use their enforcement or use their power in any way. And most of what they have been doing is trying to re-explain or, kind of mea culpa for some of the early blunders that they've had.
Justin, do you, with all this information in your article, researching it, do you feel like we are going to have to get to a point where there is a player-led sanction, either associated with the NCAA, with rev share coming into play, with all this NIL, where you see athletes have a more of a hand in this or a voice, or do you think it will still lead towards the networks and the NCAA coming to these decisions?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about collective bargaining and athlete unionizing. I think the problem there, I'm not the first person to make this point, it's just really tough in college sports because of how transient the players are. They're coming in. I think by the time they kind of, might even have an understanding of the value of unionizing or what it would take to do that, most of them are, on their way out the door and going on to, whether it's professional sports or professional, job in another field or something like that. So I think that's going to be a really tough thing with so many different athletes and so many different sports, at kind of different aspects of their life. I think that's going to be a tough thing to just really kind of nail down and have a very representative player group. I think the biggest thing that I took away from this is there's a lot of power in Congress and there's a lot of power in the courts. Congress could kind of come in and they could say, all right, college football has an antitrust exemption and we're going to pass legislation that kind of lays down the rules and this can decide everything. The problem, as everyone knows, is that it's really tough for Congress to do anything, especially if you're going to need bipartisan support and it doesn't really move quickly. And so then the other, I think, area or aspect that has a bunch of power is the courts. And we saw that with the House settlement or going back to Alston and O'Bannon, all these major cases that have impacted college sports. It feels like it's, kind of the next big decision is going to be either who acts first. Is it Congress kind of coming together and putting some legislation in place? Or is it another massive lawsuit coming through the courts and deciding something? And kind of history and common sense would suggest that actually the courts, as long as stuff takes in that realm, is actually probably going to be the first ones to act before Congress could come together and get something decided. And neither of those have anything to do with the NCAA or the college football playoff or anything that happens on the field, which again just shows how many cooks are kind of in the kitchen with this.
How university presidents are an interesting thing, and they're the ones who have the final say on a lot of this, yet I would say, and I'm just going to give them a generous 50-50 split on that. Half of them know what they're doing when it comes to athletics, and then half of them, it's not even in the middle. It's half of them know, and the other half have no clue and have to have somebody kind of explain it to them. And that's not because they're not intelligent people. It's just they were not hired to run that part of the university, and they have no expertise in it. They could have been a physics, the dean of the physics department, and then become the university president. It's if you go back, Justin, I'm not sure if you ever followed along or read the transcripts of when UCLA and Cal were negotiating out how much of UCLA's Big Ten money would have to come back to them because it's in the university system, and listening to the people on that board ask these questions about sports media rights because they genuinely didn't know. Like that is what we're dealing with when it comes to a great many of the decision makers when it comes to university presidents.
Yeah, it was similar when Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12, right? Remember Bob Bowlesby having to explain to these university presidents why it was so financially impactful that Texas and Oklahoma were leaving from a TV revenue standpoint. And so, yeah, to kind of reaffirm your point, these university presidents have a ton of power. They hire the athletic directors. They sit on the boards that decide, the fate of the college commissioners. So, the people that we think of as making the decisions, athletic directors, commissioners, the university presidents are their bosses. But as you said, most of them, there are some that are very engaged. They certainly understand the financials of sports, but they're running entire massive, sometimes, with some of these state universities, just like huge organizations. And they don't necessarily realize that's why this is important, that the men's basketball team is getting a unit from an NCAA tournament victory. And so, yeah, they're usually relying on what these athletic directors and what these conference commissioners are telling them in meetings or telling them, on these Zoom calls is, hey, this is important. We need to follow along with this. Most of them are probably going like, all right, I'm going to trust the person that knows what's going on here. And so if you ever got kind of a university president that maybe had served as an athletic director or a commissioner or something like that, they would have that perspective. But for the most part, those people aren't in these positions. And so you're right. There's kind of this inverse of how much power they have and how much understanding they have of the system.
No, it really is. It's like half of them have a driver's license and half of them have spent time riding in cars. And then they're like, okay, well, I've been to a football game, so how hard can this be? And then it's just not the same thing. And again, it's not, I'm trying to be nice here. It's not an indictment on their intelligence. They know a lot of things that you and I don't know.
Smart, right?
Yeah. They just don't know. Like it would be the same as them putting us on the board of the chemistry department. And we'll be like, yeah, just don't blow anything up and we'll fund your research. Right. I don't know. Like, is that a good thing? We have no idea because we don't have that expertise, and they hold so much of the power. And part of the thing is, like you said, there's so many cooks in the kitchen. Well, there's a ton of universities and every president and everything wants to have a say. So it kind of funnels down to the conference level and that they're the representative of the presidents. But, outside of a few conferences, I don't think that we have a lot of them that are so, involved in that's why we need the commissioners to do what they do, because somebody has to be the singular voice and sift through all the muck.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of college sports doesn't make sense if you kind of just, make it as a flow chart on a piece of paper. And part of that's just the way that the college sports, college football have changed. They've kind of back-ended into the way some of these things work. So I do think if you're sitting down and explaining to a university president, which again, they have a million things they're dealing with, the budgets and the employees that they're managing are just humongous beyond athletics. And you're trying to explain to them well, here's why we have to have the house settlement, and here's what an NIL collective is, and here's why we have to cancel that non-conference game with Bowling Green 10 years from now. You can easily see them being like, look, this is why I hired you. You need to figure this out. I'm not going to waste my time on this. But then that's also why, again, they have to lean on these people when it comes to making some of these decisions.
So when it comes to the government's involvement, I would say that the president's involvement is mostly symbolic at this point. That he's got this commission and all that, but really it's Cody Campbell. There's no that commission he announced this week and all that. The only one I think is going to really do anything is Cody Campbell. I don't think that Lawrence Taylor and Harrison Butker and, Bryson DeChambeau are going to be in the weeds here, figuring out how to save college athletics. That's Cody Campbell's mission. We talked to him at Big 12 Media Days. He's got a really interesting plan, but I would say that the real bridge between Congress, the president, and the universities is Cody Campbell, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Trump has gotten involved in terms of, he had that executive order a couple of weeks ago. He made this council, and as you mentioned, mostly that's a little bit of window dressing, but I do think that it's not a mistake that he put Cody Campbell on this, Presidential Council for Fitness, because Cody Campbell's been working, with the administration, the White House, since the transition team in terms of on the college sports aspect. And so that council kind of just, formalized a title that really he's been in a position that he's been working in for months now. And it's something that's important to him. Look, it's not a coincidence that Trump's executive order was called Saving College Sports, and that the nonprofit that Cody Campbell has set up to kind of work toward this mission is called Saving College Sports. He is a big part of any, kind of interest and efforts that the White House and executive branch has in addressing college sports moving forward. And look, he also, he's a very successful businessman. He certainly understands the sport, better than anyone else, from a government level and even from a Congress level in terms of the inner workings of how budgets and the history work. And so I think it'll be, and as he's talked to you about it, he's talked to me about it, it's a passion project for him, right? He could easily just go off and run his billionaire oil business and help out Texas Tech athletics. This is something he cares about. He's put a lot of time and a lot of money in, and he has the resources and kind of the connections to make some things happen. So I'm very curious to see how, he does moving forward in this area, because I think he's very motivated and well-resourced to make things happen. I think what he's going to bump up against is what everyone bumps up against is sometimes it's really hard to get things done in DC, especially when you start talking about getting bipartisan support on things.
How many more Cody Campbells do you think it's going to take for us to see some rules being made, decisions being made, more headway in this space? I mean, I think, like you said, it's a passion project for him, and so he's going to put a lot into this and want to move the needle. How many more people like him do you think it's going to take to where we see a lot of change?
I think the biggest challenge for him is, he's at some point, whether it's him or whether you're talking about anything happening at a big picture level, is you will have to have the SEC and the Big Ten get on board. And that was why the whole college football playoff thing is kind of hilarious, because if you're talking about, the Big Ten and the SEC agreeing on massive sweeping federal legislation, they can't even agree on how many college football playoff teams are that we're going to have or what the format's going to look like. So that does seem a little far-fetched. But if those two conferences, Sankey and Petiti and all the necessary parties, if they can kind of get on board with something, whether it's Cody Campbell's vision or whatever the next, TV deals look like with Fox and ESPN, that I think is what's really going to chart the course for college football. And that's why I let off the piece with them, because if those two conferences, those two men ever kind of get on the same page and start working together, I do think you'll start to see some things get done, whether it's with Congress, whether it's with the playoff and rulemaking. It's just, as we've talked about, kind of how we started off this conversation. College football has always ended up about those parties kind of retreating and working in their own self-interest, because it's not just the SEC and Big Ten, right? They have 16, 18 different university members that are a part of them that they have to answer to, and all of them have their own kind of agenda. So that's what makes it tough. It's not an easy job. But the fact that those two entities have not been able to kind of been move in the same direction, I think is why you see so much of this, gridlock and just kind of a tangled web that they haven't been able to sort through so far.
So, you do this article and it's so in depth. And one of the things I didn't even think about was the head coaches who used to really run the sport, like more than anybody. If you were a big, strong head coach, what you said kind of went. But now, because there's so much involved, like there are still some that like their opinion carries weight. Obviously, Nick Saban carries weight. When Kirby Smart talks, it carries weight, like all of that. But they're really now just highly paid employees, because if you talk to coaches and ask how much say they feel they have on things going on, most of them will tell you they feel like they don't.
Yeah, and we saw that with COVID, right? I feel like that was kind of the aha moment for a lot of us is, most of those coaches, they wanted to play or they wanted to figure it out. And when everyone was kind of trying to figure out, is the season going to happen? How do players return to campus? All that kind of stuff. The coaches really didn't have a lot of info or say on how all that went down. And so you're right. I do think you have these very recognizable people that have a bully pulpit in a lot of cases, but don't necessarily have decision making. There are still instances, though, like to go back to the playoff format, when it felt like things started to shift between the Big Ten and the SEC earlier this year in terms of what the playoff format was going to look like. A big part of it was, I think, the SEC head football coaches all kind of came out and were like, we don't want these automatic qualifiers. We want to go out and earn it on the field. And I do think you started to see not just the decision-making within the SEC shift, but I think that was when really fans started to understand, like, oh, this is what the Big Ten wants in terms of the automatic qualifiers, and maybe we don't want that. And I think the public opinion started to shift because of what the coaches were saying. So they don't necessarily have the decision-making power, but they absolutely have the power in terms of forming public opinion. And I think at some point that will play a key role in whatever happens here next in college football.
Yeah, it's so weird that like any of the SEC coaches, Greg Sankey does know that he has to keep that base happy, because if they're ever not happy, there's plenty of places that they could go, right? It's not like he, eventually the Big Ten pays just as much money. And, while Kirby Smart's not leaving Georgia and all that, if the tide ever turns, they could just decide like, you know what, I am going to take that job at Wisconsin. I'm just going to go.
What?
Yeah. Cause they listen to us and he doesn't.
And not even that, if Kirby Smart and Lane Kiffin and, or even Nick Saban or, pick your ever group of coaches, if they all start to come out and say like, hey, I'm not sure we're really happy with what our commissioner's doing, what's probably going to happen is the commissioner loses his job. And, that's the SEC, that's the Big Ten, that's any place.
Yeah.
If there's they can form public opinion. If they set their phasers to, the man in charge and they start saying like, hey, I'm not sure this is working, they don't even have to leave the conference. They probably just get a new commissioner. And so I think that's definitely something where, again, they don't have the decision making, but they do have a bigger voice than maybe anyone else in that group that I wrote about, aside from, I guess the president of the United States.
Yeah. But again, like there's nothing like, and that's the other thing is that there's nothing like written in law that like allows the president to really do anything. Like an executive order is just a reflection of what he wants the policy to be. And then when there's another president, if they don't agree with that policy, then it's over. If it even got started in the first place, like that's the weird thing about that. It's like, he did it, but like, all right, the next guy could undo it very easily. Like that's the whole thing about executive orders. We're created like our Constitution runs so that it's not really a thing, right?
And when I first started putting together this list earlier in the summer, I had Cody Campbell on it, I had Congress on it. I didn't specifically have Donald Trump on it. But then, he does, like we talked about, he does the executive order, he does his counsel, he's kind of on TV talking about college sports. And at some point I was talking to my editor, it's like, look, we get it, but you kind of have to put him on there, because when the highest office in American politics is, in front of a TV talking about fixing college sports, whether he has the power or not, it's like, all right, that's going to be part of the conversation now. And so, it all goes back to there's all these different cooks in the kitchen. And it felt like with the past couple of weeks, Donald Trump was kind of like, yeah, I'll jump in here too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Justin, always great to talk to you, buddy. The season's starting here in a minute. Are you, again, you're still going to have to write about these issues, but you will get to do game pieces and football pieces really soon. And it's like early Christmas for sports writers, isn't it?
It can't get here soon enough, Paul. I mean, just let's if there's any week 0, I'm all about it, because we need some football on our screens for sure.
Oh, I really think that they should let sports writers off in the summer when there's no actual games going on, like teachers, right? I mean,
that might be a little like teachers have a little bit better like self-control and stuff like that. Letting sports writers free for a few months, that might just seems like a recipe for disaster.
Maybe so. Although, listen, you say teachers have better control. I grew up in Florida. I don't know if the news agrees with that. So we'll see.
Fair enough.
We'll see. All right, Justin, always great to talk to you, and we'll have you on again soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Justin Williams of The Athletic. Justin's one of our, I think, OGs on this show. Like he's been on from the jump.
He's very insightful. I loved his article. I think it was really needed to kind of get all of that down on paper in one spot of these are the things that are happening. These are the segments. I don't know. I'm curious to see how long all of this lasts or takes or what's going to happen.
I mean, there are simple solutions that have complex paths to it, like collective bargaining for the athletes, like a lot of unification and doing that. Cody Campbell's plan is a lot of that of everybody's media rights are negotiated together.
Right.
That way everybody makes more money across the board and we're not
just
jockeying for position.
Yeah.
We protect rivalries, we protect Olympic sports, we protect all these things because of that. And because we have more revenue, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And so his plan makes a ton of sense, which is why it's so hard to get through to academia and Congress,
right?
Because those are two levels of that don't really do things that make perfect sense. Because a lot of times when it makes sense, though, like everything that I've talked about is the simplest direct route, but it's not easy. Like you like, you know, it's kind of like the Oregon Trail, right? You've got to go, like, you're not going to get to just, you know, speed along a highway and then get off the exit that you want to.
Yeah.
That's what they all want to do. That's how they want to do it. They just want to speed along on the highway and then get to where they're going. The problem is they've not set anything up governance wise that will allow you to do that. So now, instead of being modern, it's got to be like, okay, well, we're starting in Pennsylvania, and we're going to wind up in Oregon. So we're going to go along the trail, and we got to do this and this. And like, sometimes you've got to ford a river. Sometimes you've got to go up the mountains. Sometimes you have to do all these other things. And that's why it's hard. And that's why they don't want to do it, because it's hard. Like but the best thing to do is usually the hardest thing.
That's true. I just feel like like you made a good point of a lot of presidents' jobs have changed to where they are now having to throw in this massive wrench to, okay, we need these students to go to class and to get degrees. And it's like, they didn't sign up for this job. So trying to do the hard thing, they're like, well, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, and the thing is, because they went past the easy path a few years ago, which was when you started paying coaches 7 figures, the athletic department doesn't make money, went out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, once that second comma started popping up in a bunch of coaches' salaries, people were going to start asking that question of like, okay, well, we're here for like, we don't get any money. I mean, yes, we do get room and board, but then even at that time, you didn't get all of that. It was partial, like, so, and that's the other thing that was so weird. Like, you wouldn't give athletes enough money to cover all their food when they need the most food of anybody who needs food on a college campus.
Right.
Like, they're the ones who are moving the most, the ones who burn the most calories. They're going to eat more food. Like, you can't base it on like, well, a normal 185-pound person needs this many calories a day. Yeah, that's a person who gets up, goes to class, maybe does a little bit of exercise, like normal person exercise. Walks to class, goes and lifts weights for 30 minutes and does like a 30 minutes of cardio so that they got their body moving. But then like they also didn't just go back and study and, maybe they play intramural basketball or something like that. But that's a normal person, not a college athlete who, okay, practice is at 6 a.m. or the first thing is at 6 a.m. And then you have to be here and we're going to have another thing and we're having an afternoon. It's going to be really hard. And we're going to do that really hard thing all the time. And then when you're not doing the really hard thing, playing the actual sport that you're playing, you're going to exercise all the other days, throughout the rest of the year. So that would mean that your caloric intake needs to be higher than most people. Remember Michael Phelps, when he was winning all those gold medals, was eating like 25,000 calories a day. Like he was like, he was like, oh, well, in the morning I have 17 pancakes. And you're like,
what was that?
Like, what are you trying to win a contest? Yeah.
Like 27 eggs, or it was like something ridiculous. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah. It's just all day he's eating.
Yeah.
And because he's swimming so much. Okay. Well, I mean, it's not Michael Phelps, but like do a percentage,
right?
Right. So that's one of the things I always thought was weird, because I always assumed that, the food was just taken care of. I just assumed it. And then when I was in college and I would see athletes, and if you had free food around any athlete, they were right there even faster than like normal college students, because look, we're all broke and we all want free food.
Right.
But I remember I had a buddy who was a baseball player and like not even a starter. Like he was barely on the roster. But we were like at somebody's house and their parents had like gotten a whole bunch of like sandwiches and stuff brought in, and he just went to town.
That's hilarious.
And like usually all of us did, but I was like, holy cow. And it was like, no. I was like, well, I thought you had all your food paid for. He's like, no, man.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just like you guys. Like, yeah, we have some meals paid for, but man, by the end of the week, I'm ready to go. And I've been playing baseball and working out all this time, so I'm starving.
I
was like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. All right. I thought you guys were just taking care of it. He's like, no.
Yeah. A little different.
Yeah. No. So And that was even like football and basketball had the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't just the non-refs. So anyway, we've got a super chat, I'm told, Brandon. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. Kim Coulter, our buddy. You met Kim?
I did. I met him in real life.
Yeah.
In all of his 365 gear.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when the SEC and Big Ten get on board, it's when Texas Tech signs 10 or the number is 5-star players away from both leagues. Yeah. Look, they've already got 2, like 1 each year, and then a couple guys who are close. Tech is coming, baby. Like they're not going to stop. And look, here's the thing. If the coaches they have, like, they're not just going to go, oh, say it doesn't work out. They're not just going to be like, okay, we're going to go back to the old way. Like, they're going to find people who it's going to make it work.
They're doing it across all departments.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, talk about their softball department, talk about the football. Like, they are playing the game that everyone is going to have to get on board with.
Yeah.
If it holds true.
And the thing is, they were way smarter about it than a lot of people because they were prepared for all contingencies. Is where some places, as soon as the House settlement went through, they're like, we're shutting down this. And then they're like, well, then like 3 weeks later, they're like, we're reopening it.
Surprise!
Turns out it's not done. And then Tech was like, we're not closing anything down until you tell us that we have to.
Yeah.
Until this is what we have to do. So yeah, it was really, really amazing. When we come back, Faith and I are going to go through the Power 4 conferences. We're going to pick the teams we think are going to be in the title game and who we think is going to win that title game. And Faith, really, I'm going to take the first pick here.
That's fine.
Well, I mean, it probably doesn't matter because we might have the same things.
Yeah, it's
This
okay.
isn't the same thing. I mean, you've got that Arch Manning pick, which is, that's the odds-on favorite right now.
Yeah.
But,
I wanted to grab it before it left the table. We'll see. I'll play the favorite.
Ricky Williams and Earl Campbell are the only Texas players to win the Heisman, if I'm remembering correct. And they were both running backs. And no Manning has ever won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
There have been 3 different Mannings that have played quarterback, and his dad was a wide receiver. And none of them have won a Heisman Trophy, although they were all very high draft picks. So,
now's the time.
Or has any Manning? Here's the other thing: a Manning has never done. A Manning has never won a national championship.
True.
Never won a national championship. Now, Super Bowls, that's a different thing.
Right, but national championship.
Yes. In fact, Tennessee won the national championship the year after Peyton Manning left.
Well, that's just like a slap in the face. Right?
Do you know who it's a real slap in the face to? Me. Because I was there watching it.
No way.
And I was like, oh, Peyton Manning's out there. We'll be fine. But our quarterback was hurt. And, it's Chris Winkie was hurt. He won the Heisman Trophy, a couple years later. But may rest in peace, the late Rooster, Marcus Outson, could not do it. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to pick those. We're going to pick those games. This is 365 Sports.
What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student-athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Paul, Catalina, and Faith Lynch. Sorry, not sure what happened with that break there. Sometimes we get a dud. Sometimes there's a dud in the system there, Brandon. I'm not going to blame that one on you. I'm not. It's happened. Like, I used to produce this show when it first started. Garrett's produced it for a long time. Sometimes you hit a button and it doesn't finish doing what it's supposed to do. That's the wonderful and terrible thing about technology. So in this segment, Faith and I are going to pick the participants in the P4 championship games and who we think the winner is going to be. And we'll just do each conference at a time. We'll pick those two teams and then the winner. So Faith, I will, which conference would you like to start with?
Let's start off with the Big Ten because I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of Big Ten football coming from the South. So I want to get it out of the way.
Yeah. So, all right. So, all right, Big Ten. My championship game in the Big Ten is going to be Penn State and I'm going to say it's going to be Penn State and Oregon again. And I'm going to take Penn State. I'm buying on Penn State this year. Garrett's going to shake his head, but I'm buying on Penn State. Who's yours?
I think I'm going to kind of hop on with Garrett and go with Nebraska.
Really? Well, I don't know if Garrett's a big Nebraska believer.
Just his Heisman pick, the conversation we had. I don't know. I feel like I'm a Matt Rule fan, so I would love to see him be in that conversation. Gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I'll go Nebraska, and then we'll go Penn State.
Nebraska and Penn State, and who wins?
I'll say, I'll go Penn State.
Okay, Penn State. Okay, let's go to the ACC now.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Clemson, and I don't think it's going to be SMU again. I'm going to say, hold on. I've got to check Duke's schedule. I really kind of want to.
I'm with you on SMU.
Yeah, I think they'll be good. I think it'll be really good. But I think
it'll be a good
game. Because I think Duke's going to be quite good, and they really have a schedule that should allow them to win a lot of games. Now they do have to play Clemson and Georgia Tech in back-to-back weeks, but other than that, their schedule is pretty manageable compared to everybody else's. I'm not a believer in Miami. I would love to be able to say FSU here. But I'm going to say Clemson and Duke. Clemson wins.
Okay. What about North Carolina in that conversation?
I don't think they're going to win 4 games.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be. I mean, they might win 4, but like they have a lot to go. Look, they start out with TCU.
Wasn't there something that came out? They have one of the hardest schedules in college football. Is that correct?
Their non-conference schedule isn't too terribly bad. They have TCU. I wish UCF was a little bit better, but their in-conference schedule is okay, but like they're not better than Clemson. They're probably not better than Syracuse. I mean, they've got a shot. It's not too tough, but I still think that they're probably still another year from being really effective to be title game good.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Which is usually like that's 9 or 10 wins.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to have 9 or 10.
I don't disagree.
So, yeah. I will tell you that, like, one of your picks probably should be Clemson.
Well, I was going to go with SMU and Clemson.
SMU and Clemson, the repeat of last year?
Yeah,
okay.
I'd like to see it. I think Clemson will win. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, SMU's. I mean, they like again. This doesn't affect. I mean, they have Baylor and TCU. That's a really tough non-con for them, but that doesn't affect it. Their in-conference schedule: Clemson, Miami, and Louisville are the 3 hardest games. So yeah, if they can get through that, but they don't have Georgia Tech, they don't have FSU, who they drilled last year anyway, but they don't have Duke, so I think that should allow them through. But I like. Duke has Darian Mensah. They had a really good defense. They upgraded. Their schedule is outside Illinois and Tulane and the non-con. Like maybe this doesn't mean they're going to like roll through it, but I think NC State has a lot of questions. Syracuse has a lot of questions. Cal, Georgia Tech, and Clemson back-to-back tough. UConn, Virginia, North Carolina, Wake Forest. They should win out after. But again, if we have like their conferences are so big,
it's huge.
It's so big. It's hard to even say like what it's going to be. Okay, we'll finish with the Big 12.
Okay.
Since that's the land that we live in. Oh, we kind of live in SEC country too. We overlap. All right. So I'll let you go first with the SEC.
Okay. I was going to say Alabama and Georgia.
Alabama and Georgia. Okay. You're confident that Alabama's not going to have quarterback issues?
I don't think so. I'd like to think they would stay healthy. And
okay.
Why do you think we're going to have quarterback issues at Alabama?
I just haven't. I mean, they haven't. None of them have played. So
yeah, but I don't know. I think I believe in the Alabama system. I believe in the backbone. I believe in the program.
Okay.
You don't agree with me, Paul.
No,
you don't agree with me.
I mean, I see it. I ranked them in the top 10 when I did my ranking. So that was there. I'm going to say Texas and LSU in the championship game. And who are going to pick to win that game between Georgia and Bama?
Georgia.
I am taking LSU to beat Texas in the championship game. And Garrett's not even here. He's in the bathroom. He can't even hear me talk. Can't even hear me talking about it. Okay. Now let's go to the Big 12. Your true area of expertise.
I say Baylor and Arizona State.
Baylor and Arizona State. Who wins?
Baylor.
I
want to see him do it so bad.
Okay. I am going to say Texas Tech and Kansas State. And
really?
Yes. I'm going to say Tech and Kansas State. Tech is just like, they've got to be in that game. They've got to, given all the stuff that they've done, it is there or bust. I really do think, and their schedule is, they should be able to be on a roll. They should be 3-0 out of the gate. Now, at Utah is going to tell me a lot. Yeah. This is a tough conference to really predict, but on the back end of the schedule, they have a BYU team that's going to be tough in spite of the fact that they lost their quarterback just 6 weeks ago. But their last 3 games are BYU, who we really don't know how the offense is going to work because we don't know who the quarterback's going to be, UCF and West Virginia. So I think that they have an opportunity to close really well, to start and close really well. So they can go 3-0 on either side of it. Mm-hmm. And if they really do genuinely get on a roll, if they beat Utah, if they can hang and beat Arizona State, which I think that, that should be a really interesting game. Oklahoma State's on their schedule. We don't know what they're going to be. So their hardest games of the season right now, in order are Kansas State, Arizona State, Kansas, Utah. I mean, like of those 4 games. So if they go 3-1 in those games, then they're in the championship game.
Yeah.
So and I think that they very much can. And then the other ones, like if we have the 3 teams, I think they're going to be the bottom of the league in there. And then Houston, who I think will be in the middle, or to the lower middle. But
I was going to say towards the bottom.
The lower middle, but maybe not the bottom, but the bottom 3 teams in the league right now are Oklahoma State, UCF, and West Virginia. And they have all 3 of them on their schedule. So I think that should allow them to pick up some steam, as where some of the other teams won't. And I'm going to pick Kansas State over Iowa State right now. But I think that it comes down to Avery Johnson, one of my Heisman picks, and the better quarterback wins. Not knocking Baron Morton, but Avery Johnson's the better quarterback. I think Tech gets there and they take a step in that direction. Yeah. They at least have to get in that game. They have to get in that game to show proof of concept to all these people. Yeah. And I think they have a really good chance based on their schedule. But I'm going to pick Kansas State to win it because Tech has never been there before.
True.
So,
Tech has never been there.
So you're picking Baylor to win the league, which I think is smart.
Yeah, I am. I think I believe in the system. I think if they are not in that game, kind of a tech of like, then what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm on the tech bandwagon, and
I mean, I definitely am too. I just don't know if it's going to. I would love to see it pan out that way, but I just don't know. I would give them one more year, and then I would like to see them in that game. But
yeah,
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have another super chat. Okay, from Charlie Casado. I've been watching the U.S. men's gymnastics tourney, and so sad to see schools cutting these programs. Yeah, really. Yes.
Yes.
This is what fuels our, like, the reason we're good at Olympics and we're so much better at the Olympics than so many other countries. Like, there's only several that kind of even hang with us. It's because we have all sort of, like, we have the college thing, and we're not like, we don't just like have these mills either. Like, it's really well developed throughout the line, and the college part of it, like, those are the athletes that are in the Olympics for the most part until they're out of college. But like the first wave of it, when you like most of the track athletes are running out of college because when you're a 26-year-old sprinter, you're decrepit most of the time.
No, it's true. No, I mean, I think you're seeing this with acro at Baylor too. They have a girl from the USA team that's going to come and compete with them this year. And so she's dipping her feet into both. No, I think I'm an Olympic sport athlete. And so to see other programs having to cut other Olympic sports to modify all of this stuff, I mean, it is really sad. You're cutting, people's dreams and where they want to go. And I think a lot of the time, to your point of wanting to get into the USA gym, you have to sometimes go to the college level to then get to that point. So you're kind of crushing that pipeline in the process. So I don't know how you fix it. I don't know what the other solution is.
Well, the Cody Campbell solution.
Yeah.
It's where you don't have to cut them.
Very true.
You don't have to cut them. Also, they don't really have to cut them anyway. Like, the universities, a lot of them have money and they could spend that money on it, but they don't. Because again, they've got all this money going other places. But far be it for me to tell them how to spend their money. Universities are not supposed to be for-profit entities.
True.
So, like, again, you could.
Well, that's all switching too, I feel.
You don't have to. But again, they're not like, they're all not written. They're not for, like, in fact, one of the biggest scams in the country is for-profit universities. Like, people talk about that, like, they really do kind of scam people.
Yeah.
And the whole point of like state university, especially colleges being set up, is it's not a profit thing. Like, people make money when they work there. Obviously you need people to work there, but at the end of the year, you don't want to run a huge budget deficit, but also you're not trying to make money on the college.
Yeah.
Right. It's supposed to, you're supposed to balance the budget and like make money where you can and spend money where you can, but it's supposed to be for the benefit of the students and the people, not like, there's not like some big daddy at the top, like Jeff Bezos going I got it all. You know what? I'm going to buy a soap company now, and they'll buy soap for me too. That's not how colleges work. I mean, yes, like the big state, like especially in Texas, like A&M and UT and Tech, like they've kind of annexed all these schools, but it's not the same thing as like, a company like Google just buying up YouTube, right? It's not the same thing. Florida is not just going to go buy Georgia. So that's not what's going to happen. That's not going to happen, right? Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, when we come back, the top 5 numbers 10 through 6 of my top 25. Yesterday, probably the most wild pick. I have Utah at 11th. Nobody else has them ranked. I have it 11th. That's the Devin Dampier thing. It's the Devin Dampier thing. I probably have more Big 12 teams in it than most do too, because I think it's going to be a really good league this year.
I agree.
Yeah, I think the ACC is not going to be a very good league this year, so I have less ACC teams in it. And I probably have less Big 10 teams than most because I'm not a true believer in a couple of them. But again, I'm going to be wrong about this mostly. So anyway, the top 5 comes up next. This is 365 Sports.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by our good friends at Flag and Anthem. Go to flagandanthem.com. Use our promo code 365sports for a discount at checkout. Top 25 rolls on, numbers 10 through 6. I ended yesterday's with Utah at number 11. I truly believe they're going to be a really good team this year. And I'm maybe more bullish on the Big 12 than most, but I'll say that might be a little bit of regional bias on my part, but I do think that, let's mix things up here. Let's not just make it all about the SEC and Big 10. Number 10, another Big 12 team, the defending champs, Arizona State. Love Sam Leavitt, love Kenny Dillingham. Jordan Tyson is a first-round pick. They have got some weapons there on offense. Their defense, I think, will actually be improved. Look out for CJ Fight to make some big numbers this year on the defensive side of the ball. Love what Arizona State does day in and day out and what Kenny Dillingham has done to build that program up. I think they're going to be tough to deal with all year long. Number 9, Oregon. They'll have a new quarterback in Dante Moore. He's going to be down his number 1 wide receiver in Evan Stewart, who's out for the year. That means DeCorian Moore, the true freshman wide receiver, might be one of their top 2 targets. Also, remember they lost Trayshawn Holden, who was one of the more reliable receivers last year. He's off to the NFL right now in camp with the Cowboys. They've got some parts to replace. But honestly, this is Oregon, this is Dan Lanning. He's the mad scientist. I think he will make it work. But we've got to see Dante Moore and how they adjust before we start putting them in the real national championship college football playoff discussion. But I've got him here at 9. I think that's a safe place to start with a team that's starting out with a new QB. Number 8, Ohio State. Yeah, 8. I even wanted to put him lower, but my subconscious wouldn't let me. I think this is potentially a 3-loss team. They're going to have a first-year starter at quarterback in Julian Sayin. Yes, they have studs like Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate at wide receiver. C.J. Donaldson comes in and replaces it at running back. I like that, but they lose a 2-headed monster of Judkins and Henderson, who were very dynamic for them. Their defense loses a ton of pieces, including Jim Knowles. Can Matt Patricia come in and take over and keep their head above water? Is Brian Hartline ready to replace Chip Kelly, who did a masterful job last year? We will see on all those things, but for right now, I'm not putting them at 2 just because they're a defending champs. Let's look at the roster and the coaching staff and make a rational decision and not just be lazy and go 2. That's what I said. If you put them at 2, you're lazy. Number 7, Alabama. Almost put them higher. Still need to see something from Ty Simpson, who I believe is going to be the starter, and most people believe is going to be the starter, but I think they're going to be really good in Kalen DeBoer's system year 2. Ryan Grubb rejoins them as the offensive coordinator. That should help out quite a bit. I think that they'll roll pretty well. And look, they're Alabama. Everybody was hoping for Nick Saban to retire and then to fall off a cliff. That didn't happen. They stumbled a little bit, stepped on a couple of rocks, including a big one in Oklahoma last year, a game they should not have gotten beaten as bad as they did if they did get beat, but that was certainly a disappointment. But I do think that year 2 should bear some fruitful results for the Tide. Number 6, Georgia. Got to see the playmakers, got to see more games with Gunnar Stockton at quarterback, but number 6 is not too bad to start at the season. And let's face it, even if my rankings were the rankings, they would be at probably number 2 by week number 3. I'm just starting out with a reasonable look at the roster. I learned this from Tim Brando. You should. Look at the teams, look at them all the way. Just don't put the name down. I think Georgia's going to be very good, but I've got them at 6. Monday, you have to wait till Monday for the top 5. I know one person in this room is going to like what I have to say. That is going to do it for us. Let's get the poll results. All right, here we go. It's poll time. Faith, this is your first day of polls.
This is my first day of polls.
Should college football adopt its own red zone coverage? No. Running away with it, 48%. You ever watch NFL Red Zone on Sundays? With the whip around coverage?
A little bit.
Would you like to? I would love to see it. It's harder for college football.
Right.
Because with the NFL, you have all the games, and then the games are also tiered out to where there's noon games and 3 o'clock games.
Yes.
And, so they can easily, there's only so many games going on at once, so it's easier to whip around. As opposed to college, you need to make it effective, you'd have to have every conference involved.
Right.
And the conferences have different, it's only a lot. You'd have to have different, they're not all with the same ones. So if ESPN, who owns the red zone now, because they just bought it from the NFL Network.
Right.
If they want to make a college football red zone, the ACC would be on it. The Big 12 could be on it, and the SEC could be on it. And then, sometimes Notre Dame when they had the rights to those games. But half the Notre Dame games wouldn't be on it. None of the Big 10 would be on it. And none of the Pac-12 now too. So since they have none of those rights, then you've only got 3 of the 4 conferences. And then the other thing is that with the Big 12, they share those rights with Fox.
Yes.
Too. And then they have some games that are licensed to TNT, but they still own the rights to them.
Yes.
So they could do it. It's just so now you've got to create, that's why they're trying to create a whole thing. But 48%, yes.
I would love to see it. I think it'd be great. I think it's a good way to watch college football.
I would love it. Yes. Because I like to watch as many games. I sign up for YouTube TV. I will sign up for YouTube TV in the next couple of weeks just for football season.
Yeah.
So that I can get, and then I'll cancel it. So I can get the quad. I don't know why nobody else has figured out the technology.
No, you would think that.
So that's
why people buy YouTube TV is for these quads to watch all these games.
How come nobody everybody else could do it? I would think it's not.
I know. I don't know why. Hulu is who I use. And
I use.
I don't know why they haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah. Hulu and next year, Hulu and Disney Plus will all be on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just be on that one app.
My poor parents. They're like, what's the password? I'm like, guys, this is not a good system for y'all.
No, I think you need to get a laminated, work it up, get a laminated thing for them. And then, and then program it in their phones for them.
Yeah. My mom
save
has
it in there.
Yeah. My mom has the notes app of the running. I'm like, girl, that is not safe.
No.
You can only do so many variations.
You've got to have different passwords all the time.
Ugh.
Everything's got to be different. I learned that the hard way, but
it
used to be you would just variations of the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then AI happened and you're like, no, they can just roll through it once they figured one out. So, all right. Maybe was 20%, no, 17%, and then 16% only if it's fair to all teams. Okay. I thought this might be a little bit more, but most people would want it. So 64% of the vote would want it under most conditions. And then maybe, probably the maybe people will be like, if I can watch everything, I don't have to flip over to a second red zone.
Yeah.
To do it. That's the thing is that there were 2 red zones.
Right.
Then it defeats the purpose of having one red zone because you're flipping over and you don't know which ones you're all going through. Okay. Next poll from Andrew Valade. You're the coach, down 1 after a touchdown. Go kick for OT or go for 2 for the win. 61% of you would go for 2. 39% would kick the PAT. And we had Dave Bartu on the show earlier this week. Dave Bartu specifically said this is a bad idea to go for 2. He said you only should go for 2 if you're trying to tie the game in the fourth quarter. That's the only time you should go for 2. If you go for 2 before the fourth quarter, you should. Now, this is in the fourth quarter, but he also says you should take it to overtime as well, because the 2-point conversion is the lowest percentage play.
Yeah, right.
So, which is why it's part of the overtime now. It's because it's the best shot of ending the game quicker
being
than
done.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Although I've seen one, it was at Penn State went like round for round with somebody like 7 overtimes a couple years ago. But Faith, thank you so much for sitting in.
Yes.
We'll do it again. We'll keep rotating you through. If Faith has Deer Sports.
Yes, I put out my episode with Coach Mack yesterday.
Okay.
So that was really sweet. Went out yesterday and follow Deer Sports for me.
Yeah, so go follow Deer Sports, find it on YouTube, and follow Faith. She's great. She's one of our favorites. You'll see a lot more of her. That's going to do it for us. Brandon, great job. Garrett, great job. Andrew, great job. Everybody's back next week. We'll see you then. So long, everybody.